Good day, everyone. Welcome to Deku Universe. Today we are beginning part 1 of What If Deku Fell for a Cat Girl at UA. The fanfiction is created by me, myself, and I82907 on fanfiction.net. Now let's begin. Chapter 1. Introduction. Izuku POV. If you had told Izuku Midoriya that after only 2 years of going to school at UA, the League of Villains would be apprehended and he would MSTROFA to a greater capacity than shattering his arms every time he used it, I'd thank the gods and give you a fortune. Even after 2 years, Mr. Aizawa's classes haven't become any easier to stay awake to as he just droned on. For a second, I thought I was listening to one of those classic movies for the pre-quirk era, like Charlie Brown or something. Wah 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 wah, new student wah wah, Mr. Aizawa droned on as I blinked a few times as I lifted my head. Was I imagining things? Sure enough, a short figure skipped into the room. Now, I know I'm not the tallest guy around, even after I sprouted a couple of inches from my previous 5 feet 5 inches. She stood maybe 4 feet, very slim, and the most notable thing about her was her body. Not that I'm trying to be creepy, she was just really cute. She was cat-like, likely due to her quirk. Her fur was mainly orange with a darker stripe here and there. Her face was a little wrinkled around the eyes and had an M-shaped mark on her forehead. Of course, she had soft-looking ears and tail, with a larger set of feet and paws with pink pads. A very striking detail about her was her large eyes, which were a deep purple color and slit like some large cat. Her face was definitely catgirl-shaped. She flashed us a grin, showing a row of sharp teeth. Then she spoke in some broken Japanese. Hello, I am Jocosa Locker. Jocosa here is a foreign exchange student from America. Briefly, his eyes glowed red, and his hair rose menacingly. I don't think I need to inform you of what I expect as long as she is in this class. Suppressing a shudder, all of us chorused. Yes, sir. I looked over to the girl and accidentally locked eyes with her. After a solid 5 seconds of us staring back, I flinched and threw my gaze away while a bright blush spread on my face. Oh God, why am I still so nervous? I deal with mobs of girls every other day of the week. Jocosa POV. I'll be honest, I didn't expect much when I walked into this class, but I was stuck here until the end of the year, so I might as well see if I can find some friends. When I skipped into the classroom and gave my greeting, I caught a whiff of something that made me cringe. Someone is dripping with lust. That's just gross. I hardly know anyone here, and someone is that much of a pig. I quickly picked them out of the crowd, a small boy with G-like hair. Interesting, a girl next to him slapped him with her tongue, which was pretty long now that I think about it. I sniffed one more time and picked out someone else, but this seemed normal. This was you see someone attractive and wouldn't mind going out with them. Some blonde dude was the source. But the purple one needs to get hit with a corny bat. Right now. God, I wish I was Fujioka right about now. Then at least the good guys would be after me. I noticed one guy studying me sitting around the middle, right in front of the purple one. He looked built like a wall and nearly that tall, with a mop of green hair just relaxing on his head. He reminded me of, "Oh me, go to me, go to me, go to me, God." That's Deku. The one people are saying will be the next All Might. Oh, and they're Dynamite. And Shoto, the next up in line to be top-ranking heroes. I somehow forgot I'd be in a class with these big shots. How could I forget that some of the cutest and most powerful guys are going to be in my class? Or I'll be in their class, but that doesn't matter. I locked eyes with Deku, and I felt the urge to rush over and snuggle into him, rushing my body. No, he'd think I was weird. I was pushed into a seat in the back and waited for my chance to meet everyone. This class is full of elites. How could I compete? When Mr. Aizawa gave the okay to me, several parts of the class swarmed me. A pink girl, hair and skin, ran up to me and introduced herself in some odd English. Hi, I'm Mina Ishido. I quickly pieced together a response in Japanese. It's fine to do Japanese. I am a guest after all. I'm Jocosa. Mina, let the poor girl choose what language to speak in, a bust raven-hair girl said as she moved a little closer. I'm Momo Yairozu. A set of a girl's uniform jumped over near Mina, speaking just as bubbly as the above-mentioned girl. I'm Toru Hagakure. Yo, I'm Kyokujiro. a girl that gave me rocker vibes said as she walked up holding a lazy peace sign. Her earlobes were long and had what seemed to be jacks at the end. I'm Tsuazui, but call me Tsu, Karo, the frog-like girl said as she waved at me. I'm Ochako Uraraka, a girl with brown hair that was short in the back, but slightly longer in the front. Nice to meet you. Why, it's nice to meet you all as well, I said nervously. I heard a story from someone that once they got their pronunciation wrong on some word and went from saying good morning to insulting someone's mother. He may have been speaking Mandarin, but Japanese words have like 20 different meanings minimum. So how did you end up around these parts? Jiro asked, twirling her finger around one of her jacks. Oh, I won a contest. I won a contest after my school was offered a chance to send a foreign exchange student here. I explained, ignoring my slip into English. I hoped Deku would have come over to speak to me, but he seemed busy. There's always next time, I guess, I thought to myself, deflated. At least, that's what I would say if I was still in America. This is Japan, and I've seen enough anime to know that I should approach him. I could be his Nezuko to my Zenitsu, his Tsunade to my Jiraiya. Believe it. Scratch that, they never got together. I can be his Hinata to my Naruto, minus the creepy stalking since the age of like 6. I steel my nerves and slowly made my way over. Izuku POV. Ahaha. Why is she looking at me? Did I do something wrong? Should I apologize? But what if I get her madder because I don't know what I'm apologizing for? A swift whack to the head snapped me out of my thoughts. Shut your stupid, but you DMN nerd. You're muttering bullshit again. Kaken snapped at me. She clearly wants to speak with you, so stop your dumb whining and talk to the DMN broad. I started stuttering. WHWH, You're relapsing. God DMN, after you go part of your time in high school being a bad butt vigilante and fighting in a literal war, you revert back because of a chick. Give him some credit. For all you know, he could be one of those people that jack off to cat girls Shoto cut in. His tone is blank as ever. What the icy hot? Since when do you know what jacking off is? Kaken barked as my mind was flooded with not-so-pure thoughts. Look at what you're going to do, icy hot. Not only is he going to be a stuttering mess, he might start jacking off to some weird furry SHD in the next few months because of your stupid mouth. I highly doubt furies are weird. It's a matter of perspective, Shoto replied. You're recording this to PSS off your dad again, huh? Kaken said with a chuckle. Well, we're going to have unprotected SEC with a cat AS a condom with drags. Mr. Aizawa, who had walked back in to get some more of his eye drops, paused as he stared at Kaken. Get some help, problem child. That's all I'm going to say. Mr. Aizawa then briskly ran out of the room. Back onto the topic. Izuku, you should talk to her, Shoto said, pushing me towards a new girl who had let everyone that wanted to touch her pause. I gulped hard, remembering that my history with romance wasn't the best. First Ochako. That didn't work out because we both waited too long to admit anything, and she had gotten over her feelings with someone new, and we all know how Toga was. A wise man once said, never stick your in crazy. I could hear clearly while the girls oohed over how soft her paws were, especially the pads of it. Oh my, they're so soft yet so firm. I could sleep on these. Do you mind sleeping over some time? I wonder how many dance moves you could pull off with hands like these. Eventually, she noticed me after they had walked away and started walking closer to me. Panic mode engaged. Hello, she said, and if I had looked a bit closer, I would have noticed a bit of a blush dusting her cheeks. Stop and speak. Hello dash. After the word left my mouth, I dived deeper into panic mode. I don't know how to talk with girls. Why would I know that out of anyone? I was the plain kid without a quirk from elementary school to middle school. I'm a big fan dash. She blurted at me as I stared at her confused. Of you, lots of people in America feel the same way. You are Deku, right? Oh, why, yeah. I started Izuku Midoriya. That's my name. I prefer it if you call me that when I'm not in costume. Oh, okay. She beamed at me. She took a hesitant step forward as she extended her palms forward. Do you want to feel? Sure. I reached forward, expecting the normal feel of a cat's paw, but this was astoundingly soft and almost silky. Whoa, I'll make sure to take extra care of my fur. A girl got to be pretty after all. Well, I doubt it'd take much work for you, Dash. I slapped a hand over my mouth, jumping away from her as I said that. Oh God. She started silently yelling gibberish, which I assumed to be English. After around 3 minutes, she calmed down. Sir, I'm sorry. I'm still getting a grip on Japanese. Working up my courage, I tried something that would have given first-year Izuku a heart attack. If you want, I could help you. She perked up, her ears and tail lifted slightly. Oh, really? Oh, of course, I said, waving my hands around wildly. Why would I make something like that up? Thanks, Imidori. Do you mind if I call you that? Go right ahead. My hero name is an old nickname from my childhood. I left out the fact that the name was meant for breaking my confidence because I don't think that would be good to bring up. Yay. She jumped up, paws in the air. She landed, took 3 steps forward, likely to give me a hug or something, but tripped on her way over. I later learned it was her tail. Gah! I quickly helped her up. So for the lessons, maybe every Friday or when you get some Japanese work. Sound good. After that, I thought I'd only see her occasionally, but now there was a 50% chance that when I walk out, there would be a certain cheerful cat in the way. Like when I went for a jog around campus, guess who was already stretching and putting on some running shoes? Oh, hey, Midori. Hey, I said as I tried my best not to stare at her as she bent over to place her shoe on better. What are you doing up so early? Oh, I jog every morning. I take it you do the same? She said as she stretched a little more. You're not going through anything like jet lag? Nope. I slept the entire flight. I felt a bead of sweat roll down my head. I thought that only worked if where you were going was nighttime. Do you want to join me? I would, but I had promised a friend I had made in another class I would jog with her. Next time would be great, though. She flashed me a thumbs up and a sharp grin. Well, I'm off. Bye. I trailed off as I watched as she ran off into the distance. God, she looks great in yoga. Nope, Nua. Bad Izuku. I whacked myself in the head as I quickly placed on my trusty red shoes and headed out for a quick jog, choosing to leave my quirks out of the equation once again. I glanced at my scarred hand as I ran. Crazy to think I was just some quirkless weirdo before getting OFA. Went from no quirks to 6. I even managed to resolve my old drama with Kakin. In fact, my dad even came back from overseas not long ago. He brought milk as a joke. Took me a while to understand. So my mom had been happy at home, no longer alone for great periods. And even all the damage from the final fight between AFO had been fixed recently, so everyone was let to roam freely. Maybe that's why UA took Jocosa in, to help everyone see things were returning back to normal. However, I felt myself frown as images flashed through my mind, all of which shouldn't be shared with a younger audience. Can things really return to normal? After all of that, I jumped at a loud bang. My thoughts interrupted as a brief flash of fear run amok through my body. Jocosa POV. Ha 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 ha. Oh my God. Some god either loves me or hates me with every fiber of their godly essence. I started to run into Izuku more and more, which was total manga logic. Clearly, we are meant to be together. But here comes the problem. I freak out and do something stupid every time I see him, or I have to bow out on a good chance because of something significantly less important. For example, today with the jog, I could have spent some quality time with him on a nice romantic run. When we get back, someone could pop some perverted joke about us being sweaty and tired. And when Izuku cutely tries to deny it, I do something equally cute that will make him swoon over me for the next 3 episodes at least. Okay, maybe I'm leaning a bit heavily on anime, but this is Japan is the land of the weebs, where we should be able to find out waifus/husbandos. So by that anime logic Japan created so many generations ago, just like how our hair is stronger than God himself. This is my man now. I threw away my Levi in a maid dress. I'm not into that kind of thing. A friend got it for me, and I didn't have the heart to give it away or tell her that I wasn't a fan of AOD. I quickly checked the latest anime episodes out and saw that 3-Piece Shippuden had its final episode and 4-Piece should be coming out in a few more weeks. Oh God, I haven't been caught up on that. I'm still in 3-Piece the second to third last movie. I'll be honest, I didn't go for a full jog. I had simply gone over to Class 3B to meet with my old friend Pony, who had thankfully been into the same kind of things as I am. I don't see why you like No Game, No Life so much. It's so fan-servicey and weird with the NCST, Pony said to me. Quickly switching over to English to match her, I said, come on, it's a funny Ice Guy. You know I'm a sucker for Ice Guy. You said you liked SAO, Pony deadpanned. It's not that bad. Sure, the story and a lot of the themes are a bit much, but you gotta say that intro is hype and the fights don't disappoint. How did the loner gamer boy basically pull the power of friendship when he was about to lose? It wasn't the power of friendship, I muttered. He stuck his sword up, and everyone gave him power because they wanted him to win with the power of their bond. Power of friendship. Season 2 and 3 of NGNL were better, and the Unital Ring arc, with the following arc, was so much better, I said defensively. Anyway, how are you adjusting? It's been a few days since you came to Japan. Have you had your big anime moment yet? Or do I need to stab someone with my horns? Pony put her hands to her horns and pointed her pointer fingers out and made pew noises. No, not yet. I do have someone you should stab, though. I shuddered at the memory of the small corny boy. Oh, Mineta? Yeah, I heard some of the boys were going to jump him, teach him to respect women and all that, but then the war came around, and now would be a bad idea with things like PTSD and stuff. Don't worry, he may be a horn dog, but he won't try anything but make you uncomfortable with some of his staring. Even he has boundaries in times like this, Pony said with a bit of thought. So noted, corny boy neutralized. Wait, have you found someone? You said yet. So you must be expecting one. I froze. Well, I kind of have this boy I fancy. What is this, the 1800s? Who says fancy these days? Spill girl. I was kind of a fan of him before I came to Japan and forgot I'd be put in his class. I started. A3A boy. Got it. Is it Shoto? No. He has a bit of a reputation when it comes to fighting and his quirk. But Kugo. Nope. He is a boy that is still a little shy even after some of the things he's faced, I said, knowing she was going to nail it this time. Oh, it's Izuku. He is kind of cute now that you mention it. She giggled. The looks could be deceiving vibe isn't for me, though. I sighed. As far as I know, Pony was the only person besides Present Mike that knew English around here. I'd hate to get in an argument with her and stop having someone to practice my English with. Boys shouldn't be my top priority, but he's just so cute and hot and just so nice. Why hasn't some girl already claimed him? Why are they letting such a hunk stay on the market? In America, he probably would have been forced through 5 different girlfriends/boyfriends. So many people have asked me to record the size of some of the males in this class. I declined, even if the money I could make was tempting. I low-key feel kind of bad for you, though. The main reason Izuku is single is that he is so skittish. He is sweet, but the slightest contact with a female sends him into a spiral of red blushes, and he stampers and pushes away by accident. Pony said, now that I think about it, he could really be your anime boy. I ignored the flush in my face. I should be going now. I turned down a job with him for you. I was hoping that it would end a bit more productive. Oh, I'm so sorry. If you wanted to dash, you could have said so. I would have understood if you wanted to hang out with Izuku. Pony exclaimed. Normally, he should be running through this area now. Nearby our dorms is where he rests for a bit. I raised an eyebrow. Why would you know that? A cute boy with a body that puts Greek gods to shame is near us, shirtless I might add. Did you think we wouldn't know? Besides, he doesn't know we peek at him, so he doesn't freak out. I squeaked at the mental image of Izuku, standing shirtless, sweat dripping down adze chiseled from stone, him flashing me a smile that makes my knees shake, and with a nice blush on his face while he pushes some of his shaggy green hair out further from his face. I shook my head clear of those thoughts. I should go find him and join him. I quickly gathered my bearings and rushed out. I may not be very athletic, but speed is one thing I got in the bag. I dashed out, my tail wagging a little as I searched for the green-haired boy, and I saw him staring at his hand, deep in thought, a look on his face drastically different than his normal bright smile. I skidded to a stop. Maybe I should just jog with him tomorrow or something. I turned around to hightail it back to my dorm, but my tail had other plans as I tripped on it and banged my head on a nearby bench. A metal bench. Izuku jumped, green sparks of electricity shooting around his body with a hardened look crossed his face until he realized it was me. Jocosa, what are you doing out here? Are you all right? Does your head hurt badly? Should I get some ice from 3B? He rammed my skull with rapid-fire questions faster than my injured noggin could hear them. I think I'm fine. I just hit my head. I said, a bit dizzy as he picked me up in his arms, and I subconsciously buried myself into his muscled chest. I'll carry you back to the dorms to get a quick checkup. If it's too serious for us to handle by ourselves, I'll bring you to Recovery Girl, Izuku said with a small blush entering his cheeks. For some godforsaken reason, I let a purr escape from my throat, causing Izuku to freeze. He looked down at me, glanced at his chest, and then my face. In my daze, I quickly purred out, "See something you like, big boy?" After saying that, my eyes widened, and my daze effectively shattered. I tried to jump out his arms, but he didn't let go of me that easily. He sputtered a little before green electricity circled his body. I giggled a little when it hit me. It tickled. But my giggle was cut off by Izuku shooting forward faster than my body has ever gone. Next thing I knew, I was on the couch, getting an ice pack placed on my forehead and medicine being forced down my throat. Thank you, Midori," I sputtered at his red face. "Why, no problemo." He forced out his mouth before he spoke quickly. "Behave to ghosts, hower let me now if I need anything." I laid on the soft pillows, wondering what in the sweet, holy anime lands I'm on just happened. I heard a new, normally bubbly voice enter my ears. "So you got it bad for Deku too, huh?" I shifted my head around, meeting the remorseful eyes of none other than Ochako Uraraka. Chapter 2. Hugs are nice. Jocosa POV. "So you got it bad for Deku too, huh?" I shifted my head around, meeting the remorseful eyes of none other than Ochako Uraraka. I let out a little noise and burrowed myself deeper into the comfortable cushions of the couch. Am I not the only girl that has felt this way? Oh God, does she like him too? She let out a dry chuckle. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. Deku is a very... She drifted off. Endearing individual. Oh no, is she going to tell me to back off? I mentally panics as my mind quickly shoved all the reasons why I shouldn't get with Midori. You hardly know him. You're just some fangirl. All the other girls have known him longer. You don't stand a chance. You're mentally freaking out, huh? She asked. I hesitantly nodded. I'm rooting for you, actually. My jaw dropped at that confession. As much as I could need him now, I had my chance and I blew it. I may have lost feelings for him at one point, but now I'm not all that sure, she said with a shrug. It was funny when I confessed to harboring feelings for him. Imagine my surprise when he said he had felt the same way. To think I started with someone else because I thought I had no chance, Uraraka said softly. Her eyes cast down to her hands, which were resting on her lap. Oh, I slapped myself in my mind. Oh, is that all you have to say to that? You could have said something bitchy, and that would have been better. Anyway, I know because I recognize the look on your face when you are near him, she said with a small shrug. I made it plenty of times, and his face is not something new to me. So I only have one request. Sure? I stammered, unsure how to feel about these events. Take care of him, all right. He hasn't been the same since the war, she whispered. Not many of us have healed yet. So much death and destruction. How could we? We were only a year younger than we are now. I swallowed hard and shifted my gaze over to the stairs he fled up. Why, yeah, if he's interested, I'll take the best care of him as I can. She leaned back and let out a little sigh, and she smiled, her normal energy coming back. My worried best friend speech is over. So when you do sink your claws in him, I need to touch up on my shovel talk. I let out an awkward chuckle, eyes still glued to where Izuku had gone. Yeah, sounds good. Midori, no, Izuku, what's going on in your head? Izuku POV. I rushed up the stairs. Cammy, why would she do that? I felt heat rising in my face as I quickly rushed into my room and grabbed one of my favorite shirts. This one-zip pants, it's hilarious. Fight me if you don't agree. A simple pair of sweatpants, along with a few items I needed, I don't know, underwear and socks. I rushed over to the shower. After I SDRPPED and entered the shower stall, I reached for the knob. See something you like, big boy? She purred in my mind as I felt her small body in my arms. I felt my face flush and opted to go for a cold shower today. I heard they were more healthy for you anyway. I'm also glad there is no class today. It would be hard, I mean difficult. for me to focus. As I was scrubbing myself down, I could very clearly feel the pinpricks of cold hitting my skin. I persevered through it. I'm a powerhouse. I was a feared vigilante. I am a next upcoming All Might. I have taken down villains stronger than top-ranking pro heroes, for God's sake. I refused to lose to a cold shower. I felt myself zone out a little. What if I was a little slower? What if I wasn't strong enough? Red images flashed through my mind. The sound of something splatting against the ground. BLD. Ida bleeding out on the ground. Achiko laid out over a large pile of rubble bent at an angle that couldn't be good for her back. Tsu was being thrown through a building, and the rest of the class scattered along the floor. Shoto was bleeding in the arms of his crying father. Kaken struggling to stand, one arm disintegrating and the other being closed in on by those hands. I saw myself rush forward, and suddenly my vision was jerked to the side, pain racking my body. Thud! Oi, nerd, you right in there. Kaken yelled as he strutted his way in. Raccoon Eyes said, "You've been in here longer than usual." He also looked ready to shower, towel tied securely around his waist. His gaze softened when he saw my panicked face. "Nah, Izuku, you good there, man?" I quickly whipped everything from my face, cracked the water as high as I could to bring some warmth to my body, and shut off the shower before collecting my towel. If Kaken is worried, then maybe I should check out how my problem looks to everyone else. Why, yeah, I'm fine. I just had some thoughts. I explained quickly. You know, I'm not the best with words, he said awkwardly. And before I wasn't the best friend to you. But if you ever need someone to train with to get your mind off some stuff, I'm always raring to go. Of course. He's saying he'll give me such a beating I won't be able to think about my problems. Always a brute, that one. I spoke, my voice felt thick though. Thanks, I might take you up on that offer. He suddenly cracked a grin, sensing we had left the serious territory. So, why'd you have such a cold shower? No reason. They are better for you, I offered weakly. Oh, I see. Little Deku getting ready to be a man. He teased. Or should I say you? So, if that isn't the problem, and you're suddenly taking cold showers after I had watched you carry a certain cat in the building. I felt my face flush. It's not like that. Really? Why do I got video proof of her getting a little flirty with you outside, and you acting like you normally do with girls, he grinned. Raccoon Eyes said she got the video from Corny Horse. Corny Horse? Does he mean pony? I mean, it's not inaccurate, but it's misleading. Better than when he called Toru Invisibitch. Wait, Pony saw us. Oh no, I was right by the dorms for class 3B. Every day, shirtless. Girls had a clear view of me. Chill out, Deku. Pony said this was the first time she noticed you. So, she was surprised, Kaken said. Although I didn't feel that reassured. If it was just Pony that saw me, and I made her feel a type of way, all of class 3B will be after me. Why? You see, 2 girls in class 3B are off limits to all guys unless you have solid proof of being a holy person that attends some kind of church not just on Sundays but on Saturdays and Fridays, helps the homeless every time you see them, donates to charity on a schedule, visits children's hospitals to entertain the sick children, helps old ladies cross the street, have never been corny in your life, and visits their mother regularly to make sure she knows how much you love her and are grateful for her bringing into this world. No one touches Ibara Shiozaki or Pony Tsunatori because they are pure, innocent flowers that should never be soiled. I shuddered when I thought of all the things that Kendo alone could do to me. Deku, don't be a wuss, Kaken chuckled as he stepped into a shower stall. Just don't start dressing in furry suits, all right? I blushed more, which was somehow possible. It isn't like that. Whatever you say, but just for reference, I got a spay bottle hidden in the kitchen if she gets a little feisty. I quickly rushed out of the room before I could start losing BLD. After I was dressed, I heard a knock on my door. Once I opened it and felt my mouth go dry. Jocosa POV. As I laid on the couch thinking about what Achiko had told me. She had, thankfully, left to let my thoughts marinate a bit. Could be interested in me? I mean, sure, I've noticed some hints of arousal when I'm near him, but never much, and it's usually things girls do that would make any straight male irked. I gathered my resolve. I wobbly stood up and marched myself into the kitchen, where I put the ice pack back into the freezer. It sadly took me around 5 minutes to figure out where to put it exactly. Speaking Japanese is hard enough. Reading it is even harder. I had to let one of the faculty read me what my teacher's name was because I had no clue how to read it. After that, I heard Izuku exit the shower. Perfect. After he's dressed, I can cozy up to him a little. I made a promise after all. I waited for around 5 minutes before walking to the door I thought was his. I knocked gently, and he opened it. He opened the door and looked as if he froze in place. Why does he remind me of some fluffy animal with his hair all wet and down? I'm the fluffy animal. I shook my head clear of those thoughts. Hey Midori, I said awkwardly. Oh, what's up, Jocosa? He asked, not meeting my eye, likely just as embarrassed as I feel. I was wondering if you could help me with my Japanese later, I asked, fidgeting a little. It would mean a lot considering all the other girls are busy and Google Translate isn't exactly reliable. Of course, he said quickly. I should be free in a bit if you want to get started soon. Why, yes, sounds good, I said, flashing him a smile. And thanks for taking care of me back there. I tend to be dash. I bonked myself playfully on the head. A little bit of a klutz. I can relate to not being the safest guy around. If you had seen me in my first year here, his voice didn't waver in volume. I had pretty much no control over my quirk. I broke a limb whenever I used it, even after I got a grip on how to use it. My quirk developed a bit more, and it went berserk during a training exercise with Class B. I glanced around. No one seemed to hear, and if they did, they didn't seem shocked. I guess it was public knowledge in U.A. that Izuku wasn't good with his quirk. I had never heard of this. I had only seen videos of him doing some badass things online. Plenty of things, and more things that were pure fan speculation, if you get what I mean. Oh, I guess that's nice to know. A total powerhouse started as the underdog. Anything else of your heroic backstory that I might not know? I asked. Well, if you insist, my lady asked, and she shall receive, Izuku said with a small bow and funny accent. I was a very late bloomer. I thought I was quirkless until a bit before the entrance exam. In fact, the first time I used it was during that exam to save Ochiko from the giant robot. I would have died if she didn't save me after I learned very quickly what the backlash of my quirk was. I made my mouth a large O. Note to self, wear Deku merch more often. He's earned it. Well, I better go get that homework and get ready. See you in like 10 minutes? I asked, and I cursed myself for sounding a bit more hopeful than I meant to. Yeah, I'll be right down. I'll see who's cooking dinner today. Hopefully, Kakin, while he may be a bit of a, at times, he cooks the best out of everyone here when we burn our tongues off. Izuku said, almost making me stare at his mouth in surprise. He can cuss. What? He looks so sweet and doesn't look like the type of guy that would cuss after getting hit by a truck and surviving. Great. See you soon, I said as I walked down the hallway, throwing a glance at the stairs by his door and trying to plan out an outfit that would look cute but causal and not like I'm trying that hard, of course. I can't come off strong enough that everyone else notices before he does. As soon as I was out of earshot, I dashed forward at a breakneck speed, for me anyway, and slammed the door, closed behind me. I ignored the several anime posters I had around the room, and the occasional Izuku, Shoto, and Katsuki one, and grabbed the trio's plushes off my bed and shoved them under. I'd hate for any one of them to ever glance into my room and notice that. They might think I'm weird. I grabbed the Froppy and Tsukumi ones off my desk and shoved them down there too, along with the several other boys and girls scattered across my room. Why in the world did I buy practically all of them? I pulled open the top drawer of my dresser and grabbed a pair of black shorts. The easy part is done. Now the hard part. I opened my closet and immediately shifted to the Deku merch section. Yes, I have a section. Don't judge me. Now I have 3 different large sweaters of Izuku. Well, actually, I have 6. 2 of each design. One was small, actually my size, and the other was bigger. To convince myself I have a significant other, am not lonely? Maybe. The main reason is if I'm in the mood for that type of style. People find it cute, and I am one of them, when girls dress in clothes slightly too big for them. It's a good look, all right? I figured I should go for the larger one, so that cut my options in half. Now I have a sweater for each suit he went through. His first suit, which is derpy enough that I find it adorable, shame it was destroyed according to everyone else after one use. His second suit, which is a lot cooler than the first, And lastly, his third suit from when it was redesigned for Black Ops missions, which was even cooler. There was another one that I wanted and knew of, his suit when he was a vigilante. There's also another one where it was a picture of him, as a vigilante, walking toward you looking like a total badass. I picked out the middle one. I briefly glanced at my drawer, wondering if I should grab some of the more hardcore fan merch, but decided against it. That might creep him out. I grabbed a plain undershirt and adjusted it to be hanging off my right shoulder a little. I almost wish I had a more human face, then I could pull off the mask look, but it looked odd to me whenever I tried it. I fixed my fur all around and put on my clothes. I rummaged around for my homework and stared at the strange letters. Maybe I should have signed up for Duolingo, but having my family kidnapped and held hostage over forgetting a Japanese lesson would not be pleasant. Forget the fact that the bird now supposedly has more quirks than could ever be known to mankind because of some strange mutation that had happened to it. Something about stealing the quirks of its victims? I'm not too caught up on the memes. When I'm on Reddit, I'm the type of girl that searches out cute little art things. Like once I had stumbled upon a nice hand-drawn Marl that was posted sometime before the quirks had rolled in. It was ancient, but it was still nice. Marl was wishing me a good day, and I was happy okay. Speaking of Pokemon, how old is Ash in the new current series? I pulled out my phone. He is still 10. Hasn't he died of pancreatic cancer already? Then he came back to life, but that's beside the point. I could have sworn they had announced that his birthday would be happening sometime soon, but that was 10 years ago. I clear my mind of those thoughts. All right, focus on winning over Izuku. He's interested. This is good news. I got the first requirement down. Next, I have to build on that interest he has, but I don't want to give him anything fake. I have to approach him with all I got, flaws and all. But the flaws part can wait until we are at least texting and smiling at our phones all night. I must learn from all the rom-coms I've watched. I don't want a relationship like Taiga Aisaka and Ruji Takasu or Rika Takanashi and Yuta Togashi. As much as their animes were masterpieces, their relationship involves a lot of aggressive contact. Taiga just hits Ruji when she's embarrassed, like her tsundere self, and Yuta hits Rika to keep her Chinibu in check. Both are justified, but neither is what I'm looking for. If that was Izuku and me, I would either die from his bows he has built, or I would injure myself from attacking him. Both wouldn't turn out well for my body. I headed out of my room before rushing back to grab the homework that I had accidentally, somehow, left under my bed. I rushed out to find Izuku waiting in a shirt that said, "Pants? Oh God, is he one of those?" I almost wanted to sit there for hours to lecture him on fashion. You see, honey, those shirts are far from fashionable. I felt my brain cells pack up their bags and leave in 5 seconds flat as I read that shirt. But I mean, when you think about it, it's kind of cute how he thinks that's funny. Oh no, am I in the phase they could do anything and I won't find anything wrong with it? I need out. Before I could rush back to my room to evaluate my thoughts, he had caught sight of me. I noticed his breath catch just a little, and he turned his slightly red face away. "Wow, you look nice," he muttered, still not looking directly at me. "Score. I mean, as I always say, a girl gotta look nice," I said as I leaned my top half forward just a tad and gave him a cheeky smile. "It feels nice to hear my work is appreciated. Did you think I just woke up this good looking?" "Yes, Dash." His eyes widened, and he started mumbling to cover his response, but my sharp ears caught it. I ignored the heating of my cheeks. He won't notice, right? I have orange fur, I should be good. So let's get to work, I said cheerfully. Izuku POV. I felt warm, extremely warm. I bet I would have been better off standing in the flames straight from Dobby's cremation quirk to be colder than I felt right now. We sat next to each other at the table as she tried to read the words, her lips twitching a little as she read, as if she was still sounding them out loud. She turned her large purple eyes onto me and asked me what a word meant, and I'd explain it to her. As I was waiting for her to need some help, I wondered if the fur on her head for the M felt different than the rest, given its drastically different color. She gave me a coy smile. "If you wanted to feel it, you could have asked." I felt my face flush. DM in it. I had done it again. "It's nothing to worry about, Midori. No need to scold yourself." I slapped a hand over my mouth and mumbled through my hand. "Sorry. It's fine. If you want, you can touch it." She dipped her head a bit lower, and I blushed at the impression someone could get if they walked in from the right angle. Or the wrong angel would be the best way to put this. I hesitantly placed my hand on it, and this skin was much smoother than the rest. I could feel the difference right away. She purred a little. I wanted to feel a little more, but a voice made us jump apart and blush heavily at what was said. Whoa, Izuku, you getting head already? No, fair. Mineta cried as she walked in from the single place that would give someone the wrong idea. Demon Izuku, didn't know you worked that fast. Denki joked as he slid into the room. And at the table too, Izuku, you sly dog. We eat there. I hope you were planning on cleaning up after. He laughed harder as both of us tried to frantically explain what Mineta had seen. I'm just joshing you guys. I know you wouldn't do that around here. At least not in public. He shot off a wink. I got to go before the bae gets angry about not having her drink yet. The bae is already angry, Denki, Jiru said as she glared from behind us. I've been waiting for that dim-in drink for 10 minutes. You know how time goes? It flies, Denki said, trying not to sound nervous. What, when you're having fun? Jiru asked with a raised eyebrow. Sorry about the idiot over there. If he ever says something dumb again, I'll make sure he's corrected. Speaking of being corrected, you stare an awful lot when Jocosa first showed up. Mind explaining that? Denki flinched when one of Jiru's jacks rose into the air threateningly. I was checking out the new classmate. Observing the new member of our class. Okay, big boy, whatever you say. Jiru rolled her eyes before grabbing his hand. Let these two study before I let one of the other boys treat me to a drink. Maybe Momo, considering she is still the most loaded one here. Denki gave a mock salute. Yes, ma'am. They left, letting us both breathe a bit easier. Sorry about that. I didn't think about how it would look if someone came from that side of the room. Jocosa apologized softly. It's fine, I said hastily, eager to clear the air and get back to the nice atmosphere we had before Mineta ruined it. Thankfully, he had toned down his perverted ways, but he still had a ways to go before he could be placed safely around a female and react like a normal human being. By safely, I mean for him. He has literally gone thrown off a building by a woman once. Not to mention, after he barely survived that fall, she ran down the stairs and threw him through a building. I heard she had a bad connection with controlling her emotions and was a victim, so while over the top, her reaction was somewhat justified. Both of them had apologized greatly afterward. So, Midori, what does this mean? She asked, pointing a question. Oh, that's simple, I said as I started to explain the whole thing to her. Her ears twitched a bit before turning a bit towards me, so she could hear every word better. Cammy, this girl is amazing. That night was great. After the homework was finished, we all ate a non-spicy dinner that was still amazing. Kakin claimed it was so the newbie got a good taste of normal food again before he burned her taste buds off. She laughed and said she had a decent heat tolerance. And a few people paled at that. Kakin's normal food is lava, but he tones it down, but 3 stages for us, until we say something like that. So he cracks it up to his max, freaking hotter than the sun's core. Well, it's like someone got some ball. Gets around here, Kakin grinned evilly. However, I'm not going to test your limits just yet. Not until you've tasted the nerd's lips. We both laughed it off, but I felt like I had taken a bite of Kakin's full force spicy. Why in the hell would he say that? Other than that, the night went pretty smoothly, with lots of laughter and getting to know Jocosa a bit. Before long, we had all got ready for bed. As I laid in my bed, ready for sleep when a nightmare came. Jocosa POV. I yawned as I stared at the alarm clock by my bed. It's like 1 in the morning. Why am I up? I looked around my room and noticed my mouth was dry. Never happened before, but I guess since I'm up I should go down for some water. I stretched and put on a robe. Feeling a little chilly, I put on some slippers and headed out. I was instantly hit with a strange scent I have felt in a while. Fear. I took another sniff. Sweat and tears. Panic. Then I heard it. A terrified, heartbroken scream. The sound of a man that doesn't want to lose more, but knows he will anyway because of his fear ruling his body. I rush over to the source of the sound. Izuku's room. Achiko's hushed words echoed in my mind. Take care of him, all right. He hasn't been the same since the war, she whispered. Not many of us have healed yet. So much death and destruction. How could we? We were only a year younger than we are now. I called out to him as I knocked on the door. Hey, Izuku, you dash. The door swung open easily. I guess he forgot to lock it. I stepped inside. The room was neat, but there was a few pieces of All Might merch everywhere. There were other heroes too, but not as many as All Might. Rather standard boys' room, beside the large bunch of weights and other strength-related items. On the bed, Izuku looked awful. His face was flushed, but at the same time, he looked pale. I rushed over and checked his forehead and chin. Burning hot. He was sweaty, and I could see some tears that had escaped his closed eyes. His breathing was heavy and erratic. His mop of emerald green hair was now matted to his forehead, so I swiped it off, ignoring the sweat now on my hand. I rushed out of the room and found a rag, and quickly wet it with cold water before heading back up to place it on his forehead. Think Jocosa, what makes people feel better during nightmares? CRP. I know nothing about how to help during one. In cases of PTSD, you're supposed to ask before touching them, but I already disregarded that rule. The room shouldn't be too hot or cold. It feels pretty warm in here, so I'll grab that fan my dad gave me before I left. I rushed back to my room and grabbed the unopened box. Thankfully, it was a small came-in-one-piece fan, as I ripped open the packaging, ignoring the small cut the cardboard gave me. I rushed back into his room and plugged it in, making sure it wasn't pointed directly at him. I checked on him again. His face looked strained, as if he was in pain. Arg, what do I do? Maybe if I hug him for a bit. I'm like a big stuffed animal, right? I took a few deep breaths so I could slip next to him without being frantic enough to wake him. Although it was unlikely, people normally can't be awakened from these things, but if he does wake up, he will be scared and aggressive. I placed myself on the very edge of the bed, making sure he had some space, but enough so I could reach my arms over. I latched onto him in a hug. Instantly, he calmed a little. Soon he was leaning into my touch, and before I could move away, he shifted his body to hug me back and pull me closer. I tried my best to ignore the blush rising in my cheeks, but couldn't help it when he let out a small sigh and started to sleep much better with a small smile on his face. As much as I wanted to leave, I really couldn't. He is the body of a god. I eventually fell asleep too, liking the feeling of his warmth and nice muscular arms around my body. Man, he's a good hugger. Next thing I knew, I was awake, sunlight streaming in from the closed curtains. I felt the now dry rag on my face. Must have fallen off. I let out a small purr when I snuggled into Izuku's broad chest. Wait, what? I looked up in horror and heard a scream. Izuku, you dog. I want to call dibs, but you guys already shared a bed. A small purple-haired boy yelled as Izuku woke up, for a moment looking confused and then looking me in the eyes. Shock and embarrassment flooded his face as he regarded where his arms were. Good morning. I offered weakly, knowing my Netta catching us in this position was my fault for leaving the door open. God, a lot of explanations are in order. Chapter 3. A date, but not quite sad face. Izuku POV. Last night was fuzzy to say the least. I squeezed my large stuffed animal a little tighter. Oddly warm. What I remember was, I think I was having a nightmare. A lot of death and destruction. I thought about how Midnight died and the many other lives lost. Then I was barely awake, I think. I thought I had seen Jocosa looking over me worriedly as she placed a cold rag on my head. That's about it. Jocosa purred and snuggled into my chest. Before I could tighten my grip, a realization hit me. Jocosa! A heartbroken screaming sob erupted from my door, and a yell from my Netta jolted me 100% awake. Izuku, you dog. I wanted to call dibs, but you guys already shared a bed. My mind cleared and I looked down into my arms. Jocosa in the flesh, my flesh. Good morning? She offered weakly, with a cute, awkward smile on her face. Gee, good morning, I stammered back. What happened? Oh, I think I should explain that to everyone else too, she said with a dry laugh. All right, I said. We stayed laying down, both of us seemingly not really wanting to leave while my Netta sobbed and banged on the floor. Midori, you kinda need to let go of me, she whispered. Yo, my Netta, what's the big commo? Holy dash. Izuku, was I wrong to doubt you? Jocosa, were you that ready for the... And now emerged, Denki laughed. I let go, with more hesitation than I want to admit, and quickly got up. Jocosa followed my example. Demon Deku, I said it, and now you really got some ball, Bakugo laughed. Come on, is the entire class out there? I exclaimed, but as soon as the words left my mouth, I regretted them. It's hella manly how you two are, Kirishima grinned. In case that was an actual question dash, Mina slid into my room with a massive grin on her pink face. Yes, and even all of Class 3B is here. I threw my hands in the air. Of course they are. Jocosa slowly stood up. So, who's up from some breakfast? And a juicy story like this? Who could refuse? Toru giggled, and I jolted when I realized I couldn't see her anywhere in my room. That means A, she's hiding, B, wearing clothes that have bits of her DNA, or C, naked. I shoved that thought out of my mind and stood up as well. Soon everyone was sat before a bowl of cereal. They really didn't want to wait and insisted that they really wanted those blessed whilst in off-brand Lucky Charms. So Jocosa explained how she had come out of her room for a glass of water, heard me making a lot of noise, found me sweating and overheating, and took care of me. Aw, girl, you're so sweet. Mina fawned over how cute we were. Yes, indeed. It was quite adorable how you took care of Midoriya, Momo said with a nod, looking out of place with the marshmallow cereal in front of her. I commend you for handling my friend Dash. Ida stood up and initiated his robot summoning dance with his lecture mode, glasses shining like headlights as he rigidly moved with every syllable. However, it is vastly inappropriate. The manner you went about taking care of my comrade. The correct course of action would have been to inform an authority figure or a fellow boy to take watch over him, rather spending the night in his room. Jocosa and I shared a blush before she spoke up. That part wasn't international, in his sleep. He kinda grabbed onto me when I laid down next to him to calm him down. My blush deepened. I will for now unlock my door before bed. And the windows. I can't say I didn't enjoy it though, she murmured, but almost everyone heard it. Yeah, Deku got some nice arms for work and for holding people. Ochako mused loud enough for everyone to hear. He saved me enough for me to confirm. If you like strong but comforting hugs, he's freaking all. Might level. Izuku, tell me your secret to success. What is the key to giving good hugs? Denki jokingly pleaded, but for some odd reason, his eyes begged me to give an answer. I'm not normally the witty type, but I can try. Well, fine Denki, I'll hug you and teach you, but you must promise me you won't teach Shoto. Everyone laughed, but the said boy. Why not me? You'll end up making more girls fall in love with you with these hugs, and it's a problem you don't need, I said with a shrug, drawing a light laugh from everyone. Now it's safe to tell Mineta. Really? Mineta perked up. Yeah. Not many girls would like you to even look in their direction, so I think it's safe. Ouch. That hurt me, Izuku. He placed a hand over his heart. Right here, man. Just like that time when a girl didn't like you so much she gave you food poisoning? Denki asked. Everyone but Mineta laughed. You guys are mean. Unway Dash, Ochako said between her giggles. Deku, remember today we were supposed to go hang in the city today? All right, I said, and looked at Jocosa, who now had her head tilted down a little. She almost reminded me of an anime, the scenes when the character has a shadow over their face. Ida said he wanted the three of us to check out his new arcade that came out. I think it's a mix of retro and oldie American style, Ochako said, keeping an eye on our newest mutant. I heard they were even selling your merch. Jocosa looked up, surprised. Maybe she didn't think they sold my merchandise. We should be leaving soon to beat the rush PRD. To be on time, one must be 5 minutes early. Ida said while once again chopping the air fast enough to make a pro chef jealous. At least time has made him loosen up a little. 2 years ago, and he would have said at least 30 to 20. I stood up. Right. Let's go get ready and head out for a day of fun. And do it responsibly. Ida made sure to get that across. I'll be keeping a close eye on you, Izuku. I'd hate for you to interrupt our bonding time for you to beat, excuse my crass language, the CRP out of a villain again. Not a single broken bone this time, either. You have been doing better, but I still lack faith in your ability to keep that trend. Jocosa POV. As soon as I had the opening to go to my room and was out of sight, I slammed into my room once again. I took a few deep breaths. Calm down, girl, you got this. I stamped down on the emotions trying to explode out of my chest and the heat rushing to my face. Sure, I just spent the night cuddling with a guy I'm borderline obsessed with. Nothing to freak out about. Okay, so it sounds like Ochako, Ida, and Izuku are going to hang out in the city later. Maybe, I can join. They are close friends, spent time together since their first year here, and have fought in a war together. Surely they wouldn't mind little old me trying to enjoy the charms of the city. I quickly scrambled around for an outfit. Eventually, I settled on a black tank top, a green and black flannel shirt, this time meant for my body size, and lastly a pair of dark blue jeans with some holes by my knees. I put on simple black boots that end at my ankles to give me an extra inch or two in height and glanced in the mirror. I felt self-conscious. Last time I dressed to impress while going into a crowded place, it didn't end well. It was hard coming back to Japan. You heard right, back. I have a history I'd rather not dwell on. I gathered my courage and rushed outside. Thankfully, they haven't come out yet. I waited by the door outside for extra effect, and waited around 3 minutes when all three walked out wearing glasses. I blinked. Glasses? I don't recall any of them wearing glasses, but Ida. They were laughing, and Ochako said, "Thanks again, Ida, for letting us use these glasses of yours for a little fun." "No problem. I may be, as the kids call it, uptight, but when it's time to play, I can get down." Ida laughed, chopping his arms through the air. Excuse me," I said softly, drawing their attention. Do you mind if I tag along with you? I haven't had the chance to explore the city yet, and was wondering if you wouldn't mind if I followed you guys around." Ochako's smile, for a brief second, switched to a sly grin before returning to normal. "Well, I don't mind. We had originally planned for 4, but Sue had some things to handle." I pulled my paws closer to my face and wrapped my tail around my waist for extra effect. "Really?" Izuku blushed and shifted his head away. "Why, I don't mind. Of course, I would never deny a young soul with a passion for her surroundings, as it would be odd for you to not know the city," Ida said, chopping his arms. "I hope you do not mind. However, we were meeting someone there." "Not at all," I said, beaming. "He was a good friend of Izuku's before he came to UA, so I hope you get along with him. He may be a little off-putting at first, but that is just a front," Ida continued. "Ida, don't say that about Hisa." Ochako ribbed him. "Why, yeah. Hisa was the only one nice to me," Izuku chipped in. "My apologies. I thought we were all in agreement on his general personality when he starts off," Ida said. "We must go now. I'm positive Hisa is already waiting for us." We all quickly rushed to the nearest train station and got on a train to some city I couldn't read. I sat next to Izuku, and he didn't shuffle away. So that's a point. We made it to the station, and waiting was a boy slightly taller than Izuku. Had black hair, was a tangled mess, but it seemed he was growing it out, which gave it its own nice look. He had dark skin, and when he faced us, I could see his almost black eyes peer into my soul. "Yo, I thought Ida would have a panic attack from getting somewhere the exact minute you said you'd be there," he joked lightly. He set his gaze on me, and unlike most boys, his gaze wasn't filled with lust, nor did it hold any appreciation for something cute. He was rather blank. Even his scent can only be described as earthy. It piqued my interest. Either he is just stone cold, or he has some kind of quirk that prevents me from getting anything on him. "Who is this?" "I'm Jocosa Locker," I said, extending my hand, and I ignored the feeling of his eyes stabbing into my soul. He took it, maintained a nice firm grip on my hand, and gave it a good shake. "You're American?" "Hello, I'm Hisa Chishiya." I nearly jerked back from his response. "Wow, could you tell? I'm not a native myself, so I can pick out people from a crowd," he said with a shrug. He gave a look to everyone. "I'll be borrowing her for a second, if all of you don't mind." "I don't mind," I cut in. "I want to know more about this guy." "Don't break her or anything. Even if you aren't a hero in training anymore, you still have fan clubs," Ochako said with a shrug. "Hisa Chishiya, no previous hero in training matches the name. He would have had to be a really small-time thing." "Relax." He motioned for me to follow him to a different side of the train station, and he started speaking English. "All right. Now, just in case they overhear, Izuku is horrid at English. I can see you have some questions, so hit me," he said in perfect English. Maybe he really is American. "Thanks. So who are you exactly?" No one important now. I had lost my quirk back in my first year when we raided that Yakuza place, he said with a shrug. I heard about that. One Class 1A student and one of the big three both lost their quirks in that incident. However, before the war, Eri, the girl that made it possible, had managed to bring back the quirk of one of them. But no articles ever mentioned the kid that was in 1A. You're the earth-shaking hero. Seismic, I said a little breathlessly. You were a legend before you left one of the few students that were capable of raw power mixed with technique. They say you never wasted a movement. Well, he said with a shrug. Most people forgot about me after I left the scene. You were the boy that accidentally created an earthquake that nearly shook the entire world by the age of 5. I exclaimed, my God, so many people thought you died. Yeah, that's why when Eri figured out her quirk, I declined, he said. You declined? I was confused. But because of that, you could never work as a hero again. And? I was never really interested in being a hero in the first place. I joined to keep an eye on Izuku. Besides, my body had extra tough muscles that could create the waves that entail my quirk. So my body started pushing itself after I lost it to make up for its loss. I'm top-tier athletic now, he said simply. I now worry fewer people because the drawback of my quirk showed a lot. Even though we found the bullets that bring back quirks, so Eri doesn't have to rewind me too far back. Almost don't want it. I haven't forgotten how to use my quirk, so if another war breaks out, I can get it back and join the fight. I was left speechless. Note, dig through all websites to see if I can find a plushie for this guy. I had managed to figure out I had a top shelf over my clothes in the closet where I have all my plushies now. Wow, Ida was right. You were kind of off-putting in the start. I thought you wanted to kill me. Sorry, it's a bad habit of mine. I examine people and think of at least 5 different ways to effectively kill them, he said. He smoothly switched back to Japanese, and a knife slid into his hand. Speaking of which, a flash of black encased in a green glow wrapped around his hand. Black WHP, which means Izuku. Hisa, he snapped. I thought you promised. I was just kidding, it's chocolate. He easily lifted the hand to his mouth, which surprised me. I've seen some strong people get completely immobilized by those tendrils, and bit a chunk out of the weapon, showing that it was indeed chocolate. Black WHP was withdrawn hesitantly, and Hisa offered me the chocolate. I didn't refuse and was greeted with some nice quality milk chocolate. Now we could go enjoy the city. I grabbed Izuku's hand much to our shared embarrassment and dragged him along everywhere I went. Hisa muttered something. Man, you're more down bad than Ochako, which I figured. Why do I have to be right all the time? My ears twitched a little. What? Is every single person a book to him? Hisa's hand lunged from behind me, making me once again make a loud cat noise. He's fast. Hisa was gripping the hand of some adult. From the looks of it, they were some kind of businessman. Watch where you try and put your hands. Pedo, Hisa spat in the man's face. He tried to pull away, but we all could every clearly hear a sickening, crunching noise. I'm sorry, he begged. Sorry, huh? Hisa narrowed his eyes. If I catch you again, you'll have more to worry about than a broken wrist. I shivered a little. So Hisa is that type of guy, huh? Hisa twisted the wrist one more good time before letting go. There's a hospital south of here, maybe 6 blocks, and a police station with a mental institute both 8 and 12 blocks away respectively. I'd suggest checking into at least 2 of those. Hisa, now standing right behind me, there was no doubt in my mind that he was once a hardcore hero in training. The only other type of person you could run into at this level is a villain, and all of those retreated to the shadows. He turned his shark-like eyes on me. Did he manage to feel anything? And no, thank you for that, I whispered. I had a feeling you weren't going to like that. His eyes stared deeper without seeming to try much. Given my rough idea of your past. God, what are you? Psychic? Stop reading my mind. I'll refrain from doing it if it makes you so uncomfortable, he said, answering my inner plea. What? I'll stop making a show out of when people are trying something shady. He flashed me a knowing smirk. What did you think I meant? Before I could reply, Ida snatched his collar and dragged him over somewhere, likely to do a robot lecture about breaking random people's wrists in public. Hisa has always been something else, Izuku mused to himself. What do you mean? I asked as I dragged Izuku to some food stall, picking out one of everything. He always played by his own rules. UA was pretty strict about managing your time well, and sometimes Hisa was late to a lot of things, but he always managed to pick up the slack if he ever needed to. Izuku said, "Do you know the exact story of how he lost his quirk?" I nibbled on some kind of fry-looking thing, but I think it's some kind of seafood. I could almost picture the raid in my head as Izuku described it. He was starting to find a place he fit in, he said. He always did what he had to do, and he protected me a lot. He got into a lot of fights for me after we met when Kakin beat me up, but at UA, he seemed to thrive. When the time for the raid came, everyone could tell something was up with the few students involved, and Hisa managed to piece all the details together over the phone as he was doing his internship overseas. So he booked the quickest flight over and demanded to be allowed to join. Hisa was as versatile as Kakin, but had the devastating capabilities as Todoroki. Granted, he couldn't beat Kakin without a large area, but still. I had heard the rumors, so it didn't surprise me all that much. There was some blockage, but Hisa and a few others easily cleared that. Hisa made walking around everywhere easy considering he developed a sensing move with his quirk, allowing us to constantly pinpoint where we could go and how many people were there. We had made good progress. Izuku's eyes dimmed a little, so they choose to bust out the quirk, erasing bullets. I heard about those as well. The remaining ones are kept under tight watch by several heroes and government officials, but the quirk restoring ones are kept with the hero's medical field to see if they can recreate the bullets without using Eri. Hisa guarded us by making the roof collapse between us and the people firing the bullets. But when we encountered more, I was nearly shot, but Hisa shoved me out the way and took the bullet straight to the heart. It could have killed him, but he still took the bullet for me. I looked back toward said boy. He had a bored expression on his face. You'd almost never expect him to be the type to save a single person by putting themselves at risk. Hisa mentioned he had tough muscles. That must have been why he was able to survive. His natural body mass was denser than normal, so the bullet couldn't dig all the way in. Hisa knew his time with his quirk was dwindling, so he used the last of his quirk to give me and everyone that was still there instructions on where to go and made what we all thought was his final stand against the gun-wielding villains. Izuku finished. To everyone's surprise, we found him sitting on the bodies of the villains as he plucked out several quirk, erasing bullets from all over his body. He sounds like a total badass, I said with a hint of admiration. Yeah, the most annoying part is he knows how badass he is. Izuku smiled a bit. He stayed with UA for a while, proving that under the right circumstances the quirkless can keep up, but he transferred to take up economics, business, and writing classes in a school more geared for that. However, since everyone knows what happened then, Hisa is allowed within all the dorms with open arms, but he prefers not to enter then, saying he doesn't have a right to enter the hero's quarters like he was still one of us. I realized something. There were cracks along with my dorm room, and the original paint job was nice dark forest green. Both seemed like, did I get Hisa's old room? I blurted out, yep. In fact, he's the one that came up with the idea of bringing someone over from America. God, this guy, the more I hear, the more he seems like someone from a fairy tale. Someone who'd you'd never expect to really be alive, much less exist. I finished off some sweet ball-like thing on a stick. That was all the snacks. I want one more of those round ball things. Hisa and the rest of them walked back over to us. Hisa glanced between me and Izuku. So you told her, what did I ask you to do regarding my past? I know, but she should know. She was curious. Izuku defended himself. So, is the monkey George, you gonna tell him too? Hisa sarcastically replied. Well, no, Izuku deflated. It's fine, I won't do anything to you, just this once. Yet, Hisa said as if he just said good morning with how natural it came out. Hisa held up a bag. Some food for everyone before we go to the arcade. I would rather spend less money on the expensive food there. Unless it's the popcorn. That's an exception. He led us to a place with a few benches and distributed a small series of snacks. He tossed me some strawberry Pocky Sticks, something I liked, but preferred chocolate. Then he tossed me some chocolate Hello Panda, took the Pocky Sticks, and gave me some chocolate ones. Sorry, I forgot you look like a chocolate kind of gal, he muttered as he dug around. He pulled out what looked to be a takeout container and passed it to Izuku. Sorry, it's been a while since I made katsudon. I don't normally cook nowadays unless someone is visiting, he muttered into the bag, and Izuku opened it up with a smile lighting up his face. I think I remember Bakugo offhandedly mentioning that the dim-in nerd enjoys katsudon more than life and All Might. He took out what seemed to be some kind of soup container and passed it to Ida. Here, once again, it's been a while since I made beef stew, so don't expect too much. He passed Ochako a large container. I didn't like how the mochi I made came out, but I figured you'd still eat it, so I mixed in some store-bought ones. I got like 5 different flavors in there. He looked at me again. I didn't expect Sue to be here, but I still brought her favorite. If you like jellies, then you're in luck. I'd feel bad if you only got that, and everyone else got something more. Sure, why not? I said, I like jelly. He passed me a container, and inside were several neatly packed jellies. I made them myself for the first time because I accidentally ordered some jelly cases online. The top was in English and Japanese, so I knew for a fact that it wasn't something you could have bought, and there were a bunch of nutritional values and stuff, along with flavors. Well, the top had some slightly wobbly hand-drawn designs, but the bottom only had flavors on them. Yeah, I kind of ran out of time considering I needed to let the jelly set in the fridge, he chuckled awkwardly. Anyway, this is something light, so we don't run dry of energy too soon. Ignoring that we had a small breakfast not too long ago, we all dug in. Much to my surprise, the jellies were really good. Like good enough, I had to cuss in that sentence. Hisa just watched us eat, slowly eating his own pack of Pocky. I got an idea after I packed up the jellies I wasn't going to eat now and popped open a Hello Panda. Hey, Izuku, I purred to him to make sure I got his attention. Can you face me real quick and open your mouth? He swallowed his food with a large blush on his face and slowly turned to face me and opened his mouth, likely to ask a question, but before he could do that, I slid the small little candy between his lips and pushed his jaw upwards to close it. These things are pretty good, aren't they? I asked as I ate another one like I hadn't just done that. Izuku blushed heavily and jerked his head up and down to give a yes. Hisa snickered while Ida and Ochako exchanged looks. Hisa stood up. I'll get rid of the trash. And he walked around the table taking the trash from everyone and whispered into Izuku's ear, who had gone to an even darker shade of red. That's odd. He shoved the pack of strawberry Pocky into Izuku's hands before grabbing his trash and leaning over to me as he grabbed mine. Heads up, man is about to add a little extra sugar to your life. With that, he headed off to find the nearest trash can, placing all of the trash into a plastic bag that he must have brought along. Izuku seemed to calm himself before opening the box of Pocky, while I watched him out of the corner of my eye. What is going to happen? I'm scared. He started eating some and started to look pleasantly surprised. He offered one to Ochako and Ida. Yes, strawberry Pocky is pretty good, Ochako said as she enjoyed hers. Ida ate it. It is quite delectable, but I'm afraid it's not my taste. He turned to me. Jocosa, do you mind giving your opinion? I slowly faced him. Sure, expected him to tip the box towards me, but instead he shook it once, making a single stick fly out, and he caught the uncovered end with his teeth. Careful not to break it, he leaned forward and smoothly inserted the stick into my mouth. His face remained closer to mine for a little longer than needed. I chewed and swallowed hard, ignoring the heat rushing to my face. Is it getting hot out here? What do you think? I think it's as sweet as you are, he said with a very attractive grin. Asterisk gulp, asterisk, well, yeah, it's pretty good, I managed. He pulled back, as if everything was still going along normally. I think you just dislike things that are too sweet, Ida. Jocosa agrees with me. Oh, what are we talking about? Hisa cut in, now back, standing behind me. He made everyone jump. Sorry, I still haven't lost that habit of showing up behind people. Cammy, Hisa, you said you were working on it. Ochako said with her hand to her chest, breathing heavier now. Sorry, I forget that you all are of the faint-hearted, he said, sounding vaguely like a bird-headed classmate. Anyway, let's get to the arcade, Izuku said. It was a short walk, although if it was long maybe I could have tried and hurt myself, leaving Izuku to carry me. Now that's a bit far now. The arcade was basically straight out of TV show, but like 5. It's hard to describe, like a Chuck E. Cheese's, but at the same time like a movie theater mixed in with a small arcade from some TV show. Hisa, true to his word, bought us popcorn, an odd thing to get in an arcade, but I'm not complaining, it's pretty good, and left us to do his own thing after seeing some kids struggling with the game. Why, yeah, I'm sorry. I'll be back, he said as he wandered off. There he goes again. Honestly, one day someone is going to get the wrong idea about him hanging with kids Izuku's side. Though I suppose he can't help it. He was never the type to let a kid struggle. Do you think he still works those jobs he took up to donate to the damages he caused when his quirk went all out? Ochako asked. I would doubt it. His new school is rather strict about students having jobs off campus. Ida said, adjusting his glasses. Then again, it is Hisa we're discussing. I watched as he slowly broke down how to play the game to the kid that stopped crying. He looked fascinated and looked more excited than I thought to be possible when Hisa paid for a match with him and started explaining where to find the cheat codes. I chuckled and headed off to find as many games as I could. Hisa had left a card which each of us gave us free reign. He told us he paid for around 20 games for each of us, and if we needed to refill, just ask him because he knows how to get a discount. He likes to be efficient with his money now that he lives alone, according to Izuku. Once again, another odd detail I mildly wanted to hear more about. I shook it off and played several games with everyone, Izuku surprising us with his skill at some games. Izuku POV. I sighed as I left the bathroom. My hands hurt. We had refilled our cards at least 5 times, and it was starting to get late. I headed over to where I last saw them, and found Hisa on a bench. Yo, when was the last time it was just you and me? I asked as I sat next to him. Exactly 2 years, 5 months, 1 week, 2 days, 53 minutes and 30 seconds and counting, he replied. Wait, really? I exclaimed. I felt bad if he was counting the entire time. I was kidding after the 5 months part, he said dryly. He held out a can of soda to me, which I took and opened. He looked at me. His eyes were tired. I'm sorry I didn't come back. During the war, that is. It's fine, I said hastily, but I knew that if he was there, with his quirk, then maybe more pros could have survived. I mentally slapped myself. There's no point thinking about the what-ifs and maybes if it distracts you from the present. What happened to you anyway? Hope was killed and Sam got D, he said with his voice dropping drastically. Both happened in America when I was sent over there for my protection. The heroes didn't want the villains to get their hands on me in case they tried some kind of mind control and gave me my quirk back to be used as a weapon against you guys. Sadly, some of them were waiting for me there. I dropped the soda after only taking a sip. Those two were Hisa's ride or dying away. They were Hisa's real trio, the ones he always protected and stuck with. Ignoring the little love triangle between them, they were tight. Holy SHD, I had no idea, man. I'm so sore dash. He glared at me. Don't say sorry unless you caused it. There was nothing any of us could do. But anyway, the reason I came back to Japan so soon is that America didn't want me. They want me out for at least 16 years. What happened? I asked, almost too afraid to get an answer. I killed them, of course. I got revenge for Hope. Naturally, it wasn't pretty, so I started picking off all the some in America that had anything to do with the war in Japan. America didn't like that I was taking their job without permission, and in honor of the trouble I caused, then they only kicked me out for a little while. That is the main problem with Hisa. When he loses control of himself, he really can't be stopped without a lot of force. Hisa must have thought without his quirk everyone around him would be safer, in case he ever lost his grip on himself, but it put everyone in more danger without it, because he couldn't properly protect them. I see, it must SCK a lot. Hell yeah, it does. I thought about taking my quirk back and leaving the law for the officials to handle, he muttered. But then, I wouldn't be able to turn back. If I started dishing out justice without regard for the law, then I have 2 options. Try to stay on the path I'm on, or join the dark side, so to speak. Hisa is geared as a protective big brother in a way. Logic is the only thing that keeps him in check. Anyone under his wings are the safest people in the world. It must be tearing him up inside more than he could ever say. Yeah, you have a point, I said, picking up my now empty soda can. So, until I'm stable, I'm not going to take my quirk back. I am in control of the damage I cause, and I'm not going to cause another worldwide accident. Hisa, ever so logic-driven. Mirio had gotten his quirk back stronger than it was before, as if he had it the entire time and was training with it. Hisa had some devastating power when his quirk first awakened. If it had been building up all these years, then he must be able to shake the planet out of its orbit by now. He'll have to relearn new limits, as he did every time he used its max. It's the best solution. Yes, so watch out. I might come for your title as number 1, all right? He said with a grin, but I could still see the deep sadness in his eyes. I look forward to it, I grinned. You've been sitting on your butt writing, while I became the leading member of the Big Three in UA. He glanced up. All right, Izuku, you're done with your old best friend duties. Go help out a maiden in distress. I followed his eyes and found myself looking at Jocosa, struggling to get a prize from Claw Machine. Go on. She needs you more than I do, and I can tell you need her more than you need anyone else, he said softly. Go on, Lady Killer. You've grown into a fine young man. If only I could have been around for longer. You know, I said as I got up and started to walk away. You didn't have to take the bullet for me and let the world lose one for all. Not in your wildest dreams, he laughed. I sometimes forget he was one of the people I first trusted with the secret. I walked up to Jocosa. Hey, need a hand? Oh God, yes. That stupid plushie won't stay in the claw. Jocosa exclaimed as she angrily hit the machine one more time. I looked at the plushie she was talking about. It was a plushie version of me, a limited edition one at that. I quickly whipped out my phone and slipped into the best site for good prices on hero merch. I may have used it once or twice, maybe 30 times to get some All Might merch. Holy sure dash. I stopped myself when I realized that there were few kids nearby. I just checked the best site for things like this, and it says it's worth 6,500,000 yen. That's like 500 US dollars. She groaned. I don't have that much easy spending money. I stepped forward. Let me try. I had a few rounds left on my card. I swiped it and stepped forward. I placed my hands on the controls and carefully aligned the claw. I gently pushed the button to lower it, and I slowly moved it over to the dropper. I touched the button to drop it, and it fell into the collection zone. I whipped my forehead. Phew, I got dash. I was cut off, my Jocosa jumping up, making what sounded to be another cat noise, and attaching her cheek to mine. She let out a small purr as. She rubbed our cheeks together. Thanks so much, Midori. And no pee problem, I stuttered. Oi, Izuku, oh sorry. I'll leave now. I'd hate to interrupt, Hisa said as he walked up with an interesting-looking prize, but he walked away, smirking when he saw the position the two of us were in. Jocosa let go, a light blush dusting her orange fur. Sorry about that. It's fine, I said with a smile. Cammy, maybe I'm down bad for this girl. Hisa's words echoed in my mind. You need her more than you need anyone else. Maybe he was right. I should confess sometime, not now. That would be embarrassing in front of everyone. We shyly walked back to the others, and Ochako flashed me a smile. Well, you two sure had fun. Why, yeah, we did, I admitted. All right, man, Hisa said as he stepped forward. I'll be seeing you soon. He offered me a hand, but I stared at it. What? If you don't want to shake my hand, all you gotta do is dash. I cut him off by tackling him into a hug. I said to him as I patted his back, Take care, man, really. For all the things you have done for me, you deserve it. His hands were still out awkwardly before he returned the hug with a little hesitation. I could feel him smile as he whispered to me, You too, man. Remember what I said. She needs you, and you need her. After that, he gave Ida a firm shake, and Ochako insisted on getting a hug as well. Hisa looked a tad odd, leaning down to hug the smaller girl. It never seemed like a very Hisa thing to do. He looked at Jocosa, and I felt a little jealousy flare up in me. He held a hand out. See you, fangirl. Maybe you should introduce me to some of your friends in America sometime. I'm working on reducing my forced leave from there. I have a friend I need to protect. Sam was a smart and fierce girl from what I had heard. But her quirk isn't for combat. Jocosa took his hand. I'll keep that in mind when I go back for a visit sometime. Once again, Hisa turned his back on me and walked away slowly before vanishing. He tends to do that a lot, doesn't he? Ochako commented. He's Hisa. He'll be fine. We might see him again in UA or on the Heroes leaderboard. I said with a smile, drawing shocked looks from all three of the people with me. What? Seismic might be coming back to the hero scene? Jocosa exclaimed. You do realize how much the hero world will benefit from him showing his face again. I heard he was one of the few students in your class that aced nearly every rescue and combat exercise you had at the time. Yeah, he learned some pretty neat tricks, Ochako chuckled. Sometimes it's hard to believe he ever left. Sometimes I find myself wondering if I should ask him for help on a test. Indeed, he has done a lot of good for us. He also bought Ochako a phone back in our first year, and still pays half of the bill on time, Edith said. He truly was a heavy loss for us. He isn't gone just yet, I said. He'll be back. He gave me his word. Is he like Naruto then, minus the stupidity? Jocosa asked. In a way. Edith smirked as he said that. Lots of things are in his ninja way. We all got onto a train, and I sat next to Jocosa again. Sometimes after a few minutes of riding the train, Jocosa fell asleep. That makes sense. Today was pretty exciting. She fell and leaned on me. So naturally, I tried to move, but suddenly she started hugging my shoulder. I tried to move again, but she buried herself deeper and started purring softly. So I stuck with it, knowing fully well my face was hot enough to cook an egg. Although I could help but feel a twinge of disappointment when I had to wake her up. Her nose wrinkled cutely as she let out a long "Naya" and stretched her arms and legs outward. We walked back to the school, and everything went normally, but I never told her about my growing feelings. What if she doesn't really like me and is just playful and teasing like Mina? 1 week passed, and I still said nothing as we hung out more and more. We started making plans to go jogging and other things like staying up late watching movies together. The 2nd week passed, and now I was regularly waking up to her cuddling me every other day, likely due to a nightmare. The 3rd week passed. Every time she walked by, I felt something explode in my chest, and I get this goofy smile after she leaves. By the 4th week, I couldn't take it. I was going to be a man about this, no matter how much I hated it. Right after class one evening, I slowly walked up to her, and she flashed me that ever-so-bright smile. Hey, Midori. Something up? Not exactly, I muttered, and I started to notice the rest of the class leaving. Her smile faded a bit. You okay? You seem kind of nervous. Yeah, it's just. I looked around to make sure no one was paying attention before my gaze glued itself to the floor. Are you sure you're okay? She started but got cut off. I really like you and I was wondering if you would want to go out with me, I blurted. Chapter 4. I have sinned, for I have held hands. Izuku POV. I slowly walked up to her, and she flashed me that ever-so-bright smile. Hey, Midori. Something up? Not exactly, I muttered, and I started to notice the rest of the class leaving. Her smile faded a bit. You okay? You seem kind of nervous. Yeah, it's just. I looked around to make sure no one was paying attention before my gaze glued itself to the floor. Are you sure you're okay? She started but got cut off. I really like you and I was wondering if you would want to go out with me, I blurted. I shoved my gaze to the floor, fearing her response. Jocosa didn't say a thing. An image of her normally cute face, looking utterly disgusted, flashed through my mind. Why would I ever go out with you? I fearfully forced my eyes to meet hers. She seemed frozen too, but when I looked up, a warm but sly smile spread over her face. She started blushing and then leaned forward and pecked me on the lips. I felt my face flush, as I felt something comparable to what villains got from Denki's quirk, zapped through my lips to my chest. I thought you'd never ask, Jocosa said shyly. I'd love to. Something in me made me do it. I don't know what, but something did. I closed the gap between us and kissed her. Immediately she responded, almost eagerly kissing me back. Something started to stir within me. I started to kiss with more force, drawing a surprised squeak from Jocosa. But she lashed her paws to the back of my head and pulled me closer, surprising me with her strength at the moment. Pressed against her, I couldn't help a certain body part getting excited. A purr resonated from her throat when she felt it pressing against her. I almost drew back, almost. Instead, I prepared to deepen the kiss, as people do in movies, stories, or anime. Yeah, right. I'm sorry, I'll grab my notes from the dash. Denki started as he slammed the door open. Jocosa and I yelped and jumped apart. The entire class was there. The entire class. Some of them even had their phones out with their jaws dropped. Some people jokingly whistled and said various things to express their surprise. Hopefully, no one managed to take a pic. Guys, I managed to get a pic of them. OMG, Mina exclaimed. Me too. Girl, wait till Class 3B hears about this. Toru exclaimed, and both girls jumped into the air and high-fived. Normally, the BLD would have drained from my face, but I could only feel more heat rushing into it as my stiff body part expressed its displeasure with not being handled by being in the most uncomfortable position it could ever have. Well, you two finally asked each other out? Denki chuckled. Thank Cammy. The tension was sky-high between you two. Well, I'm just glad he felt the same way, Jocosa said with a happy smile on her face as she took my hand in her paw. Wow. I now understand why people have cracked so many jokes over the years about hand-holding being so lewd. It felt so in TMT. It's odd something like this so innocent can feel so... Well, you get the point. Why, yeah. Same here, I muttered. NOO. At least that's what I'd normally say, Mineta cut in as he made his way to the front. But seriously, even I'm happy for you guys. Half of the class here was rooting for you. Speaking of which, who asked who out? I clear my throat. I asked her. Mineta suddenly grew distressed. He fell to the ground and started banging on it. Why is this my fate? What is it in this cruel world that hates me so? Pay up, loser, Denki laughed. Sorry, guys, but everyone placed bets on who it is who out. Mineta was one that voted Jocosa would make the first move. DMNU Deku. The one time you grow some ball is when I have money on the line. Kaken roared as he angrily ripped his wallet out of his pocket and passed money to several people in the class. Momo, Tsu, Ida, Jiro, and Toru also bet on Jocosa. The rest of the class voted for me, which felt nice and odd at the same time. Nice to know they had faith in me, but did they have to make bets on my love life? Anyway, before we do go out, I have someone I want you to meet. I whispered into Jocosa's ear as we walked towards the dorms by ourselves. Who would that be? WL. My mother, I muttered. But Jocosa, having her cat mutation, heard me, and her face flushed enough for me to see it through her orange fur. But doesn't that mean something about C commitment? I smiled at her. We are almost out of high school. If things work out, I don't want to hold off on you two meeting. She swished her head away from me, but kept a firm grip on my hand. Articles say you should wait at least 3 months. Well, we have known each other for that long. She gave me a deadpan stare. You know that's not what I meant. You should be dating for at least 3 months. Well, I promise it will be fine. My mom is amazing. Not to mention she'll make an amazing dinner. She gave me a look. So we eat dinner with your mom, and then do something else? Yes, maybe catch a movie, or walk in the park. I could take you up somewhere to watch the stars. I drifted off a bit. I had no clue where to take her. I don't know how dates work, for crying out loud. Well, as cliché as that was, it sounds nice. She murmured. So when... I was thinking about Saturday, I said. Perfect, so in 2 days. We stopped right in front of the dorms. So what now? I asked. She also seemed confused. Right, I'm not really sure. In romance movies, they normally continue with little flirting in school and text each other late into the night or something from their houses, but we live in the same dorm room. I paused. So we just keep doing what we normally did? I guess. She looked at Jocosa, gave me a quick kiss on the lips, and skipped inside. I didn't blush as much as I normally did, which was a relief. I could walk into the building without looking like a neon sign. I headed in and went to the kitchen to grab a snack before studying, but to my surprise, Hisa was sitting facing where I entered. Whoa, Hisa, it's been 4 months since I last heard from you. Where have you been, and what have you been doing? I exclaimed when he turned his gaze onto me. I've been busy. I had a large number of negotiations to deal with. The president of the U.S. and I agreed that if I get my quirk back, I can come and go as I please, he said as he stood up to give me a hug. When he stood up, I noticed he had something pinned to his chest. A visitor's pass. Before he could hug me, I ripped it off his chest. Why do you have this? He looked at me indifferently. I'm a random person here to visit some students. I'm not a pro hero or associated with any kind of business that UA has agreed to let in. I require a visitor's pass to be around here without anyone sicking the security robots on me. I resisted the urge to rip the pass, anger rushing into me. Did someone in registration make you have this? Is that why? Everyone should know you. Your face is still in the security system. Hell, you still have your dorm and room keys. Not even bringing up your student ID. He gave me a sad smile. Nah, I told you I'm not going to act like I'm still part of this class, so give that back before I get in trouble. I made a fuss to get it, and I doubt anyone would be happy if I lost it. They say the eyes are the window to someone's soul. Hisa still looked broken, but something about him was better this time around. I hesitantly handed the pass back to him. Sam is still recovering, he muttered as he gave me a quick hug. Thankfully, Akari is handling her rehab, but it seems her school is getting several attacks now too. I froze. Akari is Hisa's younger sister. She was here at the same time as Hisa, but she transferred to a school in America that specialized in working with people that have light-based quirks. That was right after the sports festival. She didn't make it past the first round, so noticing her wasn't exactly easy. Is she okay? I asked, but not too seriously as Hisa sat back down and I poured a glass of water. Yeah, she's alive, but she was injured pretty badly. She is the current best fighting student they have, so she managed to hold off all the attacks so far, but they need backup. Hisa explained. So they're calling a few favors from other schools and pro heroes in the area. How do you know all of this? I asked, and Hisa pointed to a phone on the table. It's expensive as hell, but this phone has been used for calling Akari all the way in America. I let out a low whistle. So, anything else? His eyes darkened a little before shifting back, so I likely just imagined it. Nah. So rumor around town is you and Jocosa are 4 steps away from tying the knot. I blushed. And no, nothing like that. I confessed and asked her out today. But instead of answering directly, she kissed me. Hisa laughed. Man, I was right to have a good feeling about this chick. Yeah, she's great, I said a little dreamily. Hisa snapped his fingers, jolting me out of whatever I just entered. Don't go off in a la la land just yet. So where are you guys going out, and what are you doing? Oh, well, this Saturday we're going to have dinner with my mom, and then do something more date-like afterward, I explained. Hisa's eyes gleamed. You hear that, sis? Little Deku is getting ready to pull some power moves. I felt my BLD freeze, and a female voice came out of the phone. OMG, Deku, I have to catch the nearest flight over to congratulate the 2 of you. A bubbly female voice exclaimed from the phone. Hey, Akari, I almost whimpered. Deku, don't be so shy. Come on, we're good friends, right? She inquired. Why, yeah. Tell me everything, you shy but piece of SHD. Hisa held back his laughter. Akari calmed down a little. Akari was always a passionate person, a very girly and bubbly type. She got along great with Mina and Toru, if you couldn't guess. Not unlike Hisa, who was a perfect mixture of their mom and dad's quirk. She was also a perfect mix. However, Hisa's quirk took after his dad while Akari's took after their mother. She basically is a solar panel that can control sunlight. During the day, she is next to unstoppable, unlimited power source and energy to launch attacks. Not to mention her power to create illusions with the light she stores. She stores the sun's energy, so she can use it during the night, but she would be running on a limited amount. While Hisa went off to take on our bigger problems, Akari stayed behind to tend to me and keep me company. She also ended up being my +1 to Vince, so I wouldn't get bullied for going alone or not showing up, while Hisa acted as her bodyguard. I love the girl. Mind you, she's the sister I never had, but sometimes she gets a little gossipy and puts too much enthusiasm into some things. I moved back a little. Hisa, that traitor. He knew exactly how she would react. She has been cheering me on to get a girlfriend since we were 4. Fine, but I want you to give me all the details when I call you next, Hisa, Akari threatened. Every single one. The phone made a noise, signifying that the call had ended. Why would you set me up like that? I hissed at him. Sorry. She said she won't let me speak with Sam if I didn't at least get these details. I'm not sure if she was serious, but it's not a risk I'm willing to take, he said with his jaw clenched. Good luck on your data, E-Man. I have other reasons to be here. I have to stop by Recovery Girls and wish Sue good luck on that mission she was assigned. Why does he have to go to recovery girls? I mean, he is the only remaining person that had lost there. Quirk, because of the bullets, maybe they want to check up on him to check if there are any other side effects. Jocosa POV. 2 days passed quicker than I thought they would. The first day had gone extra slow, almost like time was taunting me as I picked out an outfit. The next day, I blinked and it was gone. The last day started off slow, but nearing the end it sped up as I frantically tried to replace the outfit I had picked. What was I thinking? I can't wear this. I scampered around my room once again looking at the outfit I had picked the night before because it was good. I had several clothes and outfits scattered around my room. I have a few ideas, but should I use them? Like I've already gone for the flannel jeans look and several others. I can't show up to his mom's places wearing his merch. I don't want to look like a wear or anything so exposed skin, well, fur in my case, is hell no. I might have to lean back on looking like part of Gen Z, which is to this day the worst generation to ever live. If I look more like Sue, having an animalistic appearance but still looking very human, she is an adorable combo, by the way. I might have been able to pull off something like a sundress with a floppy hat. Ugh, why can't I be a guy? They have it so much easier. Meanwhile, in a certain green beans room, Izuku scampered around his room. I wish I was a girl. This would be so much easier. Hisa sat in the corner staring at me, eating an apple. Don't wear that. That makes you look like a boy. This isn't even mine. Why do I have Denki's clothes? I screeched as I tossed it to another side of the room. That's actually mine. I guess I left some of my clothes behind. Denki isn't a boy, I just happen to look like one sometimes, Hisa said with a shrug. Jocosa is going to look amazing as usual. But I'm going to look like an idiot. I groaned. I held up another outfit. What about this? You're not going to the beach. Drop that and save it for our long overdue beach chapter. Our what? I asked as I gave him a stare. Nothing. Don't mind the fourth wall break. Just put that away, Hisa said as I stared at him more. Maybe he has spent too much time here, and it's driving him a little crazy. He held up one. What about this one? I resisted the urge to kiss him and hold him up to show the golden beam of light falling onto him from heaven. Hisa, you're a lifesaver. My dad might come back with the milk if I wear that. A large bead of sweat fell down the side of his face. I thought he was just handling business overseas. I had even taken a message to you guys directly from him, a handwritten letter from when I left for my work studies. Back to Jocosa's room. I groaned. Why is this so hard? Would a skirt be appropriate for this? Or what about a dress? What if it's too cold for that later? That's IT. I have the answer. The dress might look a bit weird on me, but it could work. I dug around my clothes and pulled out an olive dress. I giggled. Izuku had told me he'd text me when it was time to head out, and he had mentioned taking me somewhere first. Now I was decked out in an olive summer dress, mid-cut dark purple cardigan, flat sandals, and a custom-made sun hat that let my ears protrude cutely, or at least I hope. But is it cute? Kinda. I hope. I got a text from Izuku. Midori. Hey, I'm ready now. I also have a ride, courtesy of Momo and one other friend of mine. I smiled a little. He's so cute when he's awkward. But a ride, huh? Must be something fancy if Momo supplied it. She is the richest person I know and likely will ever meet. I headed down and found Izuku, who had made me blush some more and let out a small whistle. He looked great, some khaki pants with several pockets around them, an unbuttoned gray flannel, short-sleeved, with a white shirt underneath. He shyly offered me some flowers. Ah, Izuku, you shouldn't have, I exclaimed as I took the flowers in one hand and took his hand in my other one. The flowers smell great. Almost good enough to eat, really. Why, you look great, he muttered, blushing as always. Oh, Izuku, never change. You are too sweet now, and the world needs this. Why, thank you, handsome. You're not looking so bad yourself, I said jokingly. So where is this ride you spoke of? As I said that, instead of a limo, as I expected, a much smaller car but still fancy pulls up. It was a nice silver color, and out of the driver's seat, Hisa stepped out, and he was even dressed in a fancy black suit with the white gloves on like from the movies. He walked briskly around the car and opened the back seat. Hello, sir, and MDM. I'm Mr. Chishiya, but you may call me Hisa. I shall be your driver today. I bit back a laugh. Hisa had his long and, from what I've seen, unruly hair all slicked back. It looked pretty good on him, but it was still almost funny. Izuku motioned for me to get in, and I slid into the back seat, Izuku following me. Hisa closed the door and gave Izuku a meaningful look. Soon he got into the front while I took in what the car was like. The inside was as sleek as the outside. The seats were black leather, but they didn't stick to me or feel uncomfortable. There was a small cup holder, which had some fancy-looking Japanese water, between us and a black window like in limos. The window rolled down, and Hisa glanced over his shoulder. Now that we are in the car, I can stop all the formalities, as fun and funny as that was. Izuku, for when you take your lovely date out, check the space that is for storage on the back of the seat in front of you. While Jocosa, you should do the same, but the back of my seat. Izuku reached into the thing Hisa was talking about and pulled out a wad of cash. Courtesy of my employer. That should be able to handle any and all expenses. Also gas prices, just in case, so I might need some of that. I wonder what was in the one in front of me. I reached inside and felt around before finding what seemed to be a large brown envelope. I opened it as Hisa explained. This car is now kind of mine. Momo figured that might be a nice payment considering I'm kind of risking my neck here. I don't have a valid license, so yeah. But the button gives me your location, and if I'm able to, it will glow green, meaning I'm on my way and able to drive you anywhere you need. That goes for Izuku as well, and I plan on giving a few other people buttons like these. I tipped my fingers over the button. It was a nice gesture. I felt around a little more and found a set of keys. Wow, dash. I know you guys won't want me around the entire time. So if I'm not available but the car is, the button will glow blue and you're someone I'll trust with the first set of spare keys, Hisa said with a shrug. Izuku, you get a set too. It's under your seat and a little gift from me. I saw him make a mischievous grin, and he quickly rolled up the window as Izuku reached under his seat. He found an envelope just like mine, but then he found something else. He pulled it out and found a blue box. He read it and yelped before dropping it on the ground. What's up? What is the box? I asked him, but he started stammering and blushing. Quicker than the blushing boy could react, I lunged for the box and pulled it up to read it. It can't be that dash BLD rushed to my face. This is a box of condoms. I dropped the box as well. HISA. I couldn't hear him, but I could see very clearly he was laughing his butt off. The window rolled down. Man, that was a good laugh, but it's just a joke. Izuku opened the box. Izuku opened the box, and his eyes widened, and he blushed heavily before shutting the box and stomping on it. And he kept stomping on it until his blush died down. Hisa, how dare you? He whispered. It was Minetta's idea. I have a feeling it was worse than I expected, which is saying something. He said simply. What was it? I asked. A phone playing some hardcore furry pawn, Hisa said with a shrug. But apparently with like common popular searches. I think it's like some of the weird as family SHD. I'll tell you this, Minetta said with the creepiest smile I have ever seen from him. Not a condom in sight. So I have some bleach here if you want to clean your eyes, or drink it. Izuku looked like he was considering it before he shook his head violently. Hisa, why are you like this? He actually threatened me. He held me down with his quirk and said if I didn't, he'd make Midnight look like she was the most wholesome adult in the world. Midnight? You mean the rated R hero? The one that used to carry around a WHB? The one that seemed to be in a BDSB? Naturally, we were treading into territory, but what was I supposed to do? I wouldn't hold it against Minetta to find the kinkiest fangirl of mine to ever exist and sick her on me when I couldn't do anything. Hisa gave Izuku an empathic look. So I didn't tell Jocosa to look. I'm trying to keep at least one set of holy eyes here. Izuku shuddered and gave a weak nod. All right, Hisa, take us away. Hisa nodded, and he turned away to start driving. He left the window open this time, and the car drove smoothly. DMN, this thing must be expensive. So, Izuku said dinner, but it's a little while before Ani Inko, Mrs. Midoriya, starts even thinking of what to make, Hisa said as he looked at us from the rearview mirror. I would know, bless her heart. The Best Mother award would easily go to her. Anyway, I have a spot for you guys to spend some time together. Not some cheesy movie spot or park either. After that, he drove for a few more minutes before speaking again. It was a spot I took hope to often at that. Now, I never thought of it as something like a date or couple spot, but it seems like that kind of thing. So please be careful there. I plan on fulfilling a promise I made to her there. It was our favorite spot, and I want you guys to use it now. I could see how his eyes darkened. I don't plan on going there anymore after I fulfill that promise. But I still care for the place and want you guys to have it. So to speak, Hisa really is a nice guy. He may poke full a bit too much, but he really means well. Thank you. I promise we'll take good care of it. Right, Izuku? I asked. Of course, Hisa. It really is the least we could do, Izuku said. Now, Izuku, you're going to need to hold Jocosa to get here there. How you hold her is up to you, but it needs to be a good grip. If I had my quirk, I'd use it to get us all up there, but in case you forgot somehow, I no longer have such a thing. It may be a tad rough too, considering you're not using the way I used to get up there. I need to what? Izuku panicked. You've already fallen asleep cuddling her, made out with her, and held her bridal style. Get over it, man. Hisa rolled his eyes. I, for one, felt heat rushing around my face. You both are so easy to fluster. I wonder how you guys are ever going to say I do, or have some kids. Hisa deadpanned further when we both blushed harder. Izuku used full cowl to simply jump up and hold on to her, preferably bridal style, so her dress doesn't fly enough to flash anyone. I blushed a little more. I need to stop that. We are dating, and it isn't weird for us to do couple things. So here we are. We only have to spend like 10 minutes here, considering it will take us the same amount of time for us to get to Izuku's apartment, Hisa said as he exited the car and held open my door. He quickly rushed over to the other side and let Izuku out before briskly walking toward a line of trees. Izuku stared off in the distance, and I saw a very clean beach. The Takoba Municipal Beach Park, according to my phone. Takoba Municipal Beach. I spent quite a bit of time there, Izuku said a little breathlessly. I trained there and got some community work done. Oi, what are you waiting for? Hisa called. Come on, coming. I called over to him. He was leading us into a forest nearby the beach, which was odd, almost like something from a horror movie. The killer was leading us to a place where no one would find us. Come on, he urged. Trust me, you're not going to be happy if you have to spend less time than I planned for you there. I followed after him. There wasn't a single path here, so I had to be careful, and I expected some branches to be in my way, but Hisa easily snapped anything in his path, which I followed. Izuku easily caught up with me and held my hand. Soon enough, the forest came to an end, and we were standing right in front of a cliff that looked over the water. Hisa, are you sure you aren't planning on killing us? I joked, and he turned around and flicked a knife into existence into his palm. Both of us took a fearful step back. Hisa, Izuku questioned. Hisa pointed the knife. At first I thought it was at us, but its point didn't meet with Izuku's body, so I followed it and saw a large plateau-like area behind us. He pulled out another knife. Izuku will jump you up there. I will scale the side. I almost wanted to tell him he wasn't a butler from some anime, where someone seems like they wouldn't be that strong or fast, but I was having second thoughts when Hisa pulled out a pair of glasses and placed them on his face. He used his palm to life up the glasses like a certain butler from One Piece. Now that I think about it, minus the heavy gay vibes, he reminded me of that butler from Black Butler right now. Captain Koro and Black Bolter. That's kind of scary. Izuku picked me up, bridal style, and I once again ignored the urge to hour something stupid. Technically, even if I could, that doesn't mean I should. I felt invincible in his arms. And then, same as the last time he ran with me in his arms, I felt my soul get left behind when he jumped up. It took a while for it to catch up, but Izuku landed on the top of the plateau easily, without cracking the ground under him. There was a picnic table here, a nice-looking tree, some beanbags, and a large selection of books with a cooler. The table was placed just right, so it was constantly shaded by the tree, and the books and beanbags weren't dirty, wet, or hot, as they were also protected by the tree. Now the best part was the amazing view he had. He could perfectly see the beach, the water, the forest, and even some of the city. Hisa and whoever spent time here must have been lucky when they found this place. Amazing view, isn't it? Hisa asked from behind me, making us both jump up out of fright. Yeah? Interesting. You do make cat noises, Hisa said with a dry tone. My mind created the image of Hisa standing in a black maid dress, with cat ears and all, making that Nyan noise. It was hilarious considering I had imagined him with the blonkiest face I've ever seen and that dry Nyan noise coming out of him wearing a Nico outfit. Shoving that laugh down and making a mental note to find the skills of a million artists to draw that later, I glanced at Izuku, who seemed shocked Hisa made it up here so quickly. Hisa, I want you to be honest with me, Izuku said slowly. Hisa dropped the, what I can now see, broken knife handles to the floor. Have you been hiding the fact you have a teleportation quirk the entire time? Like you can only teleport when someone isn't looking at you. Is that even scientifically possible? Hisa asked. It could be. Hisa, why didn't you answer my question? Izuku yelled. Hisa simply backed up a little and backflipped off the edge. We rushed over to check on him, almost expecting a red mark to be visible from up here, when Hisa's voice nearly made us jump off. Why are you guys looking over the edge? Hisa asked as he held each of us in one hand and pulled us back over to the safe ground. We thought you jumped off Dash, I stammered. It's confirmed. Shoto was right all along. You are a ninja, you liar, Izuku exclaimed as he pointed an accusing finger at Hisa. Hisa pulled out a shuriken and placed a headband with a mark on it, but it was slashed through the middle. Are you sure? Yes, thunk, and never mind. Izuku had quickly changed his mind when a shuriken had nearly sliced his head in half from behind. Hisa looked around and pulled out a necklace that had some small cylinder at the end. Something about it smelled odd, as if something was in it. He turned to us, and his body smelled sad. You guys don't mind me. I'll be making good on my promise while you do your own thing for a few minutes. We went over to the bean bags and started chatting about things and enjoyed the view, but both of us looked over to Hisa that stood on the edge, almost looking like part of a painting. He unscrewed the container, and I caught the whiff of something, flowers, but it also smelled like a human. A wind came in, and he poured some of whatever was in the container into his hand and let it out into the wind, and something gray lightly fluttered out of his hand. Now, he really looked like a painting, but a realization came over me. Those were ashes of a person. Some of them flew out towards the sea, and some of them settled onto the place we sat as the wind carried them and scattered them. Izuku, was that? I asked softly. You could pretty much say his girlfriend, but they never officially dated. When Hisa was sent to America for protection during the war, so he couldn't be forced as a weapon against us, his friends got caught in the crossfire between Hisa without his quirk versus some villains that wanted to bring him to Japan to be used. This was Hope, a girl he was close with, and another girl. Sam is also his close friend. She was D but managed to survive. Izuku said sadly. I glanced at the tree, and in very girly handwriting I could read out. Property of Ms. Hope and Hero Hisa. Hisa had saved Hope when they were little, a bit before he met me, Izuku said. I was shocked to hear Hope had died, but it sounds like something they would promise each other. That explains the sadness. He always has a hint of guilt around him. But why does he have the smell of BLD? Has Hisa killed anyone? I asked hesitantly. Well, yes, a few bad guys if they pushed him far enough, Izuku said. Why do you ask? He looks guilty and afraid of himself sometimes. I muttered, telling half of the truth. I could smell it, but sometimes it was visible. Sounds like him. He's a fighter. He'll be back on his feet any day now. I'm not sure about that. He might need some kind of help. Hisa turned to us and looked at his phone. We have to get going now, please, this way. Hisa pulled out a fresh pair of knives and pointed downward at a particular spot. Jump down here, Izuku. Holding your significant other, there is a large cushion that is designed like part of the ground. Land on that, or you'll hurt when you land, assuming you survive. What will you do? I asked. He held up the knives. I'll scale it again, but this time downward. Izuku held me again and jumped. Time was slow enough that I didn't nearly lose my soul, but I had to hold on to my hat. It was ripped from my hand, which was a shame. It looked cute and was kind of expensive because they customized it at the store. Even though all stores have tools for customization, they charge extra, which isn't unexpected but still a little annoying. Izuku POV. I slammed down on the cushion and almost let out a joyous shout, but I held tight to my, I can't believe I'm saying this, girlfriend. She had lost her hat, and I almost took off to find it when Hisa did his strange show up out of nowhere, wearing Jocosa's hat. Quite cute, no? I doubt it is my style, though, he joked as he walked forward and plopped the hat into her head perfectly. There we go, Izuku, tie your shoes. It makes you look sloppy. I quickly tied my shoes, which sadly weren't my red ones. It felt illegal to not wear them, but I had to because according to Hisa, red clashes with your outfit. I saw another set of discarded broken knives on the ground. Hisa will likely come back to collect those later. He always has. Well, if he leaves anything, he hasn't done this strange broken knife thing before. Why are they broken? Hisa led us back, a completely different way, mind you, and easily found our way back to the car. He opened the doors for us as he did when he picked us up and left the window down again. So what do you guys think? It's a great place with what feels like good memories, Jocosa replied earnestly. Yeah, I almost want to go back, I said. It was amazing there. It felt homey and almost romantic if you looked at the right parts. Something about it felt like something from a fairy tale. I do plan on changing a few things, maybe a way for you guys to get up and down there easier. I never said I'd stay away from the place now. Plus, there are a few hidden things there, supposedly. Hope had always bragged when we got together that I'd never find some of the things she's hidden there. Well, maybe we could find them. Jocosa offered while Hisa offered her a small smile. Thanks, let me know what you find, he said, and then he rolled up the window. So are you excited? I asked, feeling a little anxious myself. Very. I can't wait to meet her. Her name in Inko? Correct, she asked, now fidgeting her ears a little. Yeah, Inko Midoriya, Hisa, and Kaken both call her Ani because of how long we've known each other. Now that I think about it, we all were always spending time with my mom or rarely Kaken's parents, but never Hisa's. I blinked at the realization. Why we never spend time with his parents? Well, Hisa did always say he had disagreements with his parents, so maybe he didn't want us to be dragged into them. I wondered what my mom would say. I mean, Jocosa is a very cute girl. Almost SESC. Very attractive and appealing to male fantasies. But due to her quirk, she could be judged for that. People with mutations normally aren't treated well. Shoji is a prime example. He wears his mask, so he does scare anyone or offend them. Tokoyami had been bullied for a little due to his bird head, and Tsu had an occasional bully, but she normally took care of them. No, she is your mother, the nicest woman in the world. She wouldn't judge. Jocosa because of her quirk. I love my mom, and I love Joss. How fair my mother is. And her kind heart. He said slow down, and our doors were opened. We are here, the Midoriya residence. We had walked up, Hisa escorting us, now in battle mode, and he stood with his back to us while we knocked on the door to my apartment. I'm so glad I took down that All Might nameplate after my second year, to avoid embarrassment. Soon enough, my mother had opened the door before she was a plump woman, after gaining some weight and such, but she had thinned up a little and regained some of her health when the war had finally ended. She was still short, but that didn't matter to me as I hugged her. Oh, Izuku, my baby boy, she said happily as she squeezed me. She turned to Jocosa and ran her eyes over her. Oh my, you must be Jocosa. Izuku had chatted up a storm about you, Dash. Mom, I cut in as I blushed, and Jocosa giggled. She stepped forward and offered a paw. Izuku, dear, you never said Dash. I flinched a little, almost expecting something much meaner than anything my mother had said before. That she was such a cutie. I let out a sigh. Why was I worried about my mom being prejudiced against mutant quirk again? Hello, ma'am. I'm Jocosa Locker, and Izuku's current girlfriend, she said, still holding out her hand. My mom gasped at me. Izuku, you never said, oh my god. She rushed forward and hugged Jocosa, and I felt happy that they were getting along. My boy has finally gotten himself a pretty lass to call his own. My mom cried happily, almost ready to unleash the hidden quirk of all members of my family. Tsunami tears. I know, right? Took him long enough, Hisa said as he walked in. Hisa, oh my, you've grown so big. I never thought you'd look so strong when I looked at your small body when you were little, she gasped. I'm sorry it's been so long. I've been dealing with some things since I lost my quirk. I've been stuck in a small, endless CYCL of thoughts, he said as he leaned down to hug her. Auntie, I'm sorry I wasn't able to keep my promise regarding Izuku. Nothing of it, dear. Izuku is perfectly capable of protecting himself now. What you need to focus on is what you are going to do to protect those who need your protection, she told him with a smile. I do have some extra food if you wanted to join us, Hisa. He smiled sadly. I have some things to handle, but would you say you have enough for an extra person? Of course, dear. Would you like me to pack it for you? No, it's fine. Hisa looked at me and Jocosa. I'll be back later. Let me know when you need a ride back. Hisa waved and gave my mother one last hug. Soon the door was closed, and my mom turned back to us with sparkling eyes. Well, the food is still getting ready, so I'll set the table while you two get ready to tell me everything. Soon she had managed to wring out nearly everything from us, minus the more NTMT and embarrassing parts, and soon set a bowl in front of us and placed a large plate of unadon, which is basically fired eel on top of steamed rice. Jocosa looked at it, clearly interested. Ooh, smells good. There was a knock at the door. Who could that be? My mom muttered as she walked towards the door, and I glanced over with Jocosa to see Hisa there once again, but this time he had a little color in his cheeks, likely because of the sudden chill that rolled in, but he didn't have the top of his suit strangely. Oh my. Of course, you poor things. Get in here this instant. She insisted, and hesitantly Hisa walked inside. Wait, things. Hisa, are you sure? A small, timid voice asked, sounding like a little girl. That sounds like Eri. Of course, I want you to say hi and relax with them. Then we can go hang out, okay? I still have some errands to run. But, are you sure Big Brother Deku is here? Last time he wasn't. A voice that was definitely Eri's asked. He is. I brought him here myself. Now go, they have some food. And I think you should help so they don't waste any. Oh, okay. I heard the sound of little feet, and in came in none other than the white-haired little girl that we had risked our necks to save, and it pulled off. We had managed to bring joy into this poor girl's heart, just as much as she had brought it into ours. She was wearing her usual outfit, but this time she had a large suit jacket over her, a black one. So Hisa gave her his jacket so she wouldn't be cold. She beamed at me and rushed to tackle me. Deku, I offed a little as she tightly hugged me. I wanted to see you, but everyone kept saying you were busy. I had been a little busy lately, and I had booked all my free time with my friends, Jocosa star. Yeah, sorry about that. So how did you manage to get here? Big brother Hisa managed to convince Dad to let me come here for a little, she sweetly replied. Mr. Aizawa, or Dad, was ecstatic when Eri started calling him that, no matter how much he denied it. Well, that's good. Have you met Jocosa? I asked as said girl poked her head out from behind me. Hello. Eri faltered a little when she saw the new person there, becoming withdrawn. Even if Eri was doing better, she still gets shy the second someone new shows up. She nervously touched her horn. Hi. I could vaguely hear Hisa and my mom arguing, likely over him staying, so we had some time to try and get Eri to loosen up. Well, aren't you adorable? I'm Jocosa, a good friend of Izuku, Jocosa said, extending a paw to shake. Eri peeked up a little. Are you Izuku's girlfriend? Both of us paused in shock. What makes you ask that? I asked. Where did she learn that? Well, she is a girl, and you're good friends. Ochako got embarrassed when I asked her, but still said no. Who taught you this stuff? Moneta told me that if some people are good friends, they might grow to have larger feelings and start dating, which leads to things like marriage. My gaze hardened. Is that all he told you about? She nodded yes. He told me there is more, but it's best for when I'm older. Moneta, you have saved yourself this time. Thankfully, he quickly wised up and raised his standards for people to hit on, people his age and older. Eri's backstory and several other children who had been victims of pedophilia had changed him into a slightly better person. Well, yes I am, Jocosa said with a smile. I like Izuku a lot, and he told me a little while ago he did too. You're pretty, Eri commented. That she's also smart and nice, I said, smiling at her. Chill out, buddy. Smart is laying it on a little thick, she joked, and Eri let out a small laugh. Soon the two of them were chatting like Eri does with the other girls in 3A. Soon Eri had taken a seat next to me when my mom came back over. Hisa was dragged back over, my mom not taking no for an answer. Auntie Inko, I promise you. I'll be fine. I just have to rush back to the car and crank up the heat. Nonsense. At the very least, I should send you off with something hot to drink to warm you up a little, she said as she marched into the kitchen. Hisa now stood by us. So like my surprise guest? She's so cute. I was wondering when I'd get to meet the one and only Eri, Jocosa said with a small smile. Eri is a sweetheart, my mom said as she walked back in, this time with another bowl and an old thermos that we've had for years. She gave Eri the rice bowl and handed Hisa the thermos. My husband won't mind if you took this for a little bit. Hisa's tough guy facade faltered a little before being strong as ever. Thank you. I'll bring it back as soon as I clean it. Eri got up and offered him his jacket. Here you go, so you're not too cold. Hisa took the jacket and gave her a smile. Thank you. Be good, all right. I'll see if I can pick up Koda sometime too, and I'll take you guys to the park. Maybe pick up Sue's siblings too. We all ate, and just like the right feeling that came whenever we had a joyous dinner with the rest of our class, it felt just as warm and home, even if it was less loud. Eri started coloring and made a few pictures. One of Hisa back in action, me and Jocosa walking through a park, Eri with all of her friends she's made, and even a picture of all of us eating. Her drawings were slowly getting better with each one. They were simple stick figures and such, but they were gradually growing more and more detailed. I wouldn't be surprised if she walked up to us and proudly showed us a picture of one of us, and we'd think it was a picture. Hisa had pulled up and said he would be taking Eri home first, having to hold up his promise to her another time. So he drove her home and quickly came back. Once we were seated back in the car, Hisa turned to us. So you have a few hours left, like 3 on this little date of yours. What do you guys want to do? Could we walk? Jocosa asked. I want to walk with Izuku to the spot you showed us. The car slowed to a stop. Hisa pulled out a map and pulled a pen from the dashboard and drew on the map. Here, follow this. It leads to the beach, and Izuku can jump you up to the place itself. He passed me the map and stepped out to open the doors for us. Sir, and MDM, I'd recommend turning off your phones for this portion end of the evening. Phones will only ruin the amazing atmosphere tonight. We quickly got out of the car and followed his suggestion. We watched him drive off with a wave. Jocosa took my hand in her paw, and we walked, taking in the amazing sights. Night had fallen, and instead of creepy like in movies, it felt serene. The way the lamppost had lit up our path, the buildings lit up, some glowing bugs near all the plants giving them a magical look, and soon we found ourselves at the beach, which looked amazing as always, with a nice ripple of cold wind coming in, smelling salt and like the sea. We found the area we were, and once again Jocosa was picked up, and I poured OFA in my body to jump up and get an amazing landing. We sat at the edge and stared off into the distance at the sea. I looked at her. She looked amazed as she counted the stars and looked over the ocean. Midori, I think. She started before looking a little shy. You can tell me, I said softly, looking at her now sparkling purple eyes. I think, I love you, she whispered before leaning in to kiss me, in which I leaned in too, enjoying the sparks rushing through my body, but I had a nagging voice in the back of my head. She loves me? Or does she love what I was? A badass superhero. After we broke the kiss, she seemed to realize what she said. OCRP. I'm sorry, Izuku. I should have waited. I don't expect you to say it back now, or anything, just so we are clear. I just couldn't help myself, she said, looking a little guilty. Don't worry about it, I said reassuringly. Let's keep relaxing here. It feels great being here with you, she said as she started leaning on me. I tried to get rid of that voice, but it kept insisting. What do you know about her besides she's some fangirl for you? How do you know she doesn't love the hero Deku, and not some weirdo nerd like you? Third-person POV. Hisa stormed into the UA building and made his way to the medic's wing. Soon he found his way to Recovery Girl's office. He carefully opened and closed the door, and severely injured was none other than Froppy. If Ajui. Sue, I should have. He clenched his fist and angrily punched the wall, but it didn't break, thankfully. Hush, child. There was nothing you could have done, Recovery Girl said, turning around in her office chair. Recovery Girl, you're here, Hisa said plainly. Of course I am. The patient is still experiencing discomfort, and I am the one that texted you not even 10 minutes ago, right? I just feel so powerless. Hisa grunted. Well, away you are. But the topic of concern is, even though Froppy was hurt, she completed the mission she was sent to do. But we found she had a message, which is why I contacted you first, rather one of her classmates. Hisa leveled his stare at her. What is it? The old lady held up a small, crumpled piece of paper. Froppy had a death grip on this, and while she was conscious, insisted that you be the first and only person to read this. He set his jaw. Whose BLD is that? According to my best guess, hers. The lady said grimly. We had it scent tested, not a hint of lead or ink, BLD, and paper, all belonging to Tsu. Hisa took the paper and scanned it over, eyes going back and forth over the red font. He crumpled the paper when he finished and shoved it into his pocket. I'll ask 13 to send the ashes left over from when I burn this into a black hole. Hisa looked over the now relaxed form of Froppy. She'll be back on her feet soon. Before school start back up in fact. Recovery girl said as Hisa kept a tight grip on the railing of the bed. What do you plan to do now, child? He hesitated. Hey, do you still have those quirk recovery bullets? This marks the end of part 1 of What If Deku Fell for a Cat Girl at UA. A big thanks to me, myself, and I82907 for granting the permission to feature this amazing fanfiction. Please like the video and subscribe to Deku Universe for more interesting stories. Thank you and see you soon.